Hello everyone, and welcome to Dead Time Stories. Tonight, the storm outside isn't the only thing brewing. True tales so chilling they'll make your skin crawl, yet so mesmerizing you won't be able to turn away. But here's the twist. That distant thunder isn't just atmosphere. It's the key to unlocking your deepest sleep. So before you drift off, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's get comfortable, relax, and dive into tonight's story. The forest was alive with silence. Not the kind of silence that comforted or soothed, but a silence so complete it felt sculpted, like it had been carved into the night. You knew the way was seldom used, a forgotten shortcut that ran parallel to the main road. Still, the stories lingered, accidents, disappearances, half-truths whispered in taverns. You had told yourself you didn't believe them, yet your body betrayed you. Every hair on your arm stood stiff, your steps shortening without your command. The lantern in your hand swung with each step, its flame fighting to stay alive. Shadows danced on the bark, twitching like nervous creatures caught in the act of watching. You tried to focus on ordinary things, the crunch of earth underfoot, the way your boots pinched at the heel, the faint smell of damp moss. But the forest insisted on making itself strange. A low sigh moved through the canopy. The branches groaned, and you could swear the sound carried words. You paused, holding your lantern higher. "Hello?" Your own voice startled you. It echoed back strangely, like it had been swallowed and then returned to you thinner, drained of its warmth. Silence again. You took another step forward, and froze. There, ahead, hung a lantern that did not belong. Its light was steady, cold, and wrong. Not flame, not natural glow. It washed the world around it in pale grays, draining the life from the trees and soil. "Who's there?" you called, louder this time. "Is someone ahead?" The forest didn't answer, but the lantern pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging your voice. You crept closer, your own lantern trembling in your grip. The strange light revealed the object more fully now, an iron frame, rusted and worn, glass warped into uneven curves. It looked ancient, as though it had hung there for centuries. Yet its glow was perfect, unyielding. Your breath came shallow. You lifted your free hand toward it, hesitating, your skin prickling with a warning you couldn't quite name. And then, movement. In the warped glass, a shadow rose behind you. Tall, unformed. Its edges bled into the night, but its shape was unmistakable. Something stood on the path where you had been moments before. You spun around. The trail was empty. Your throat tightened, words stuck somewhere between shout and whisper. You forced them out. "Who's there?" A voice threaded through the trees, faint as the rustle of dry leaves. "Take it!" You staggered back a step, your lantern swaying wildly. The voice wasn't around you. It was inside you, placed behind your thoughts like it had always been there. "Who said that?" you demanded, though your words cracked with fear. The forest seemed to lean closer, the branches bending downward, the path narrowing as though eager to see your choice. You reached toward the lantern again, your hand trembling. The glow grew stronger as your fingers neared the iron handle. The voice murmured again, softer, coaxing. "Take it!" And that was when you understood. It wasn't offering. It was waiting. Your breath fogged in the cold air as you stood before the strange lantern. Its pale glow touched your skin, and you recoiled slightly, surprised at how sharp and icy it felt. Not warmth, but absence. Not light, but hunger made visible. You whispered, "This isn't mine. It can't be mine." The forest seemed to exhale at your words. The branches shifted above, scraping together in a slow, deliberate rhythm. For a heartbeat you thought it was only the wind, but then you realized the pattern. It was knocking. 3 sharp cracks, then silence. 3 sharp cracks again. Like someone, or something, signaling. Your lantern sputtered, the flame shrinking as if in fear of the rival light. You held it up higher, defiant. "I don't need it," you said, louder now, your voice trembling. "I have my own." The warped glass of the strange lantern shimmered, and again a shadow formed. This time, it was clearer. A figure, impossibly tall, its head bent as though the branches above pressed it downward. Its arms were too long, fingers dragging along the reflection like claws across water. It leaned closer until its faceless head filled the glass. And then, words breathed directly into your mind, quiet but absolute. "That one will fail you." Your flame sputtered again, almost dying out, as if the words themselves had authority over it. You gasped and shielded it, cupping your hand around the glass. "Stay lit," you whispered. "Stay with me." The pale lantern hummed. The sound was low, vibrating in your chest. You felt your hand move without permission, inching toward the iron handle. Every nerve in your body screamed to stop, but something older and stronger pulled you on. "Don't touch it." The voice came from behind you. Real this time, not inside your head. You spun, lantern swinging wildly, casting shadows across the path. And there, half shrouded in darkness, stood an old man. His coat was torn, his boots mud-caked, his eyes wide and shining with a fear you recognized instantly. He held nothing in his hands, no light, no weapon, just trembling fists at his side. "Don't touch that lantern," he said again, his voice hoarse. "Not unless you want to carry it for the rest of your life." The pale glow didn't diminish. The warped glass still held its reflection of the faceless thing. The forest still leaned close, listening. You lowered your voice, your throat dry. What is it?" The old man swallowed hard, his gaze never leaving the object. "A promise," he whispered, "and a curse. Once you take it, you never walk alone again." You glanced at him, then back at the lantern. It hummed louder, as though irritated by his presence. The forest branches rattled, their rhythm breaking, jagged and patient. "Leave it," the man urged, stepping closer. His hand shot out, gripping your wrist. His skin was icy, his bones like iron beneath parchment. "Come away before it chooses you." Behind you, the lantern pulsed once, hard enough to shake the ground beneath your boots. The voice returned, more insistent now, pushing directly against the old man's words. "Take it." The old man's grip was like iron, cold and trembling. His eyes darted from the pale lantern to you, as if gauging how deep its pull had already sunk in. His breath came in quick bursts, each one puffing white in the air. "Don't listen," he hissed. "It doesn't speak with words you can trust." You swallowed hard, torn between the steady hum of the lantern and the urgency in his voice. "What happens if I take it?" The old man's face tightened. "You won't put it down. You'll think you can, you'll try, but it'll follow you. It binds itself to whoever touches it. That light, it isn't yours. It feeds on what's yours." You wanted to ask what he meant, but your lantern sputtered again, the flame shrinking until it was no more than a trembling pinprick. You gasped and shook it gently. The pale lantern responded instantly, its glow swelling brighter, washing over the path until the old man looked like a shadow himself. "See?" he spat, dragging you a step backward. "It wants to take everything. Even your fire." The hum deepened, vibrating in your teeth. The warped glass pulsed faintly, and in it you saw the tall, faceless shape shift closer, its elongated hands pressing flat against the inside as though it were testing the barrier. The old man jerked your wrist. "You have to leave. Now." But your body was already betraying you. The strange lantern tugged at you, not with force, but with the same quiet inevitability as a tide pulling back to sea. A thought rose in your mind, cold and alien. "Mine. It's already mine." You shook your head violently, trying to banish it. "Why are you here?" you demanded of the man, your voice cracking. "Why do you care what I do?" His expression hardened. "Because I took it once." The words cut through the forest silence like a blade. For a moment you could only stare. His hands shook where they held you, his body frail, but his grip unyielding. "I carried it for years," he rasped. "Thought I could control it. Thought I could use it to light my way through the dark. But it doesn't just give light, it takes." Your skin crawled. "Takes what?" His eyes flicked to yours, glassy and fever bright. "Names. Faces. Time. The more you hold it, the less of yourself you remember. It burns away your life, one memory at a time. And when it's done, his voice faltered, you're nothing but a shadow inside the glass. Behind him, the pale glow shifted again, its reflection rippling like water. The faceless figure pressed closer, its head tilting curiously, as if amused by his confession. The old man tightened his grip. You've still got a chance. I dropped it once, I ran, and I didn't look back. It waited here, for someone else. His voice lowered. It's patient. It always waits. The forest groaned around you, branches twisting like they disapproved of his words. The path behind you looked darker than before, almost closed off, while ahead the pale light painted every root and stone in stark relief. The voice inside your head returned, softer now, coaxing like silk. He lies. He left, but he still carries me. The old man's face twitched, his jaw working, and for a fleeting second you wondered if the voice was right. Your lantern hissed, its flame guttering dangerously low. The forest held its breath, waiting for your choice. The old man's fingers dug into your wrist, bony and desperate. He leaned close enough that you could smell the damp earth clinging to his coat, the sourness of sweat and age. His voice cracked into a whisper, sharp as a twig snapping underfoot. You think leaving saves you, he said. But leaving isn't enough. It followed me. Everywhere. Your heart thudded hard against your ribs. But you said you dropped it. I did. His gaze snapped to the lantern, glowing pale and patient on its branch. His pupils shrank to pinpricks in the unnatural light. I let it fall right where you see it now. But every night after, I'd see it again, in the corners of my room, on roads that should have been dark. Sometimes I'd wake up holding nothing, but my hands would feel burned from the handle. You shivered, glancing down at his trembling grip on your wrist. So why come back? His mouth twitched, like he couldn't decide whether to laugh or scream. Because it whispered my name last winter, clear as your own voice. Said it was time. The pale lantern pulsed, almost smug, as though agreeing. Its warped glass flickered, and for a split second you swore you saw not just the faceless figure, but dozens of them. Men, women, children, their outlines faint, their faces blurred into nothingness, all pressing against the inside, silent and waiting. The old man's voice wavered, his grip tightening as if he could hold himself steady by holding on to you. It takes you apart until nothing's left but the part that listens. Then it swallows that, too. You jerked your wrist, trying to free yourself, but his fingers locked down like roots gripping stone. Let me go, you hissed. He shook his head violently. Not until you swear you'll walk away. Don't let it know your name. Don't let it hear you want it. As if in answer, the lantern thrummed louder, the vibration crawling up your legs, filling your chest. The branches above rattled wildly, though no wind stirred. The faceless figure's elongated hand pressed flat against the glass, leaving behind a dark smear that seemed to crawl across the surface. Your own lantern sputtered again, the flame so tiny now you could barely see it. You raised it, shielding it with your palm, whispering urgently, "Stay alive, just stay alive." The old man's face twisted with sorrow. It'll never last. That flame isn't yours anymore. It's already claimed by the other. And then, for the first time, his gaze shifted from the pale lantern to you. His eyes locked on yours, hollow and wet. You've already touched it. A chill stabbed your spine. You hadn't. You were sure you hadn't. Your hand had hovered near the iron handle, yes, but you never made contact. I didn't. You began, your throat dry. But the old man only whispered again, trembling. You don't have to. The lantern pulsed once more, stronger than before, as though agreeing with him. And in that moment, you weren't certain which of you it was waiting for. The forest changed. It didn't happen with a roar or a quake, but with the subtle certainty of a dream tilting sideways. The ground beneath your boots softened, moss swelling thick as if it had been waiting to smother your steps. The trees pressed closer, their trunks bending in unnatural arcs, sealing off the path behind you. You spun, panicked. Where the trail had stretched only moments ago, there was now nothing but an impenetrable wall of bark and tangled branches. No sky above it, no moonlight seeping through. Just wood, grown and fused in silence. The old man cursed under his breath, voice ragged. "It doesn't want us leaving." The pale lantern glowed brighter in response, spilling its cold light across the gnarled trees, painting their bark with strange shifting shapes. Faces, maybe, though they disappeared when you blinked. Your chest tightened. "We're trapped?" He shook his head quickly. "Not yet. It can't close every way. Not while I'm here." His words sounded brave, but his eyes flicked nervously toward the lantern, as though he wasn't sure he believed himself. The hum deepened, rattling your ribs. The warped glass shimmered, and the faceless figure inside leaned closer, tilting its head in mockery. Behind it, dozens of others pressed tighter, their hands flattening against the inside, their blurred features twitching as if they were trying to scream. Your lantern sputtered. The flame was a hair's breadth from dying, shrinking so low you could see the wick curling in surrender. You shielded it, whispering desperately, "Stay lit. Please stay lit." The old man snarled suddenly, his grip on your wrist fierce. "Stop talking to it. That's how it hears you. That's how it learns your voice." "I'm not talking to it," you protested, clutching your lantern tighter. "I'm trying to keep this alive." But as the words left your lips, a faint echo carried through the woods, your voice, repeated, drawn out, warped until it was unrecognizable. It wasn't coming from your mouth. It came from the trees, from the lantern. "Stay lit. Please stay lit." The mocking repetition slithered around you, low and cruel. The branches above shook with laughter that wasn't laughter, and the pale glow swelled like it was feeding on the sound. The old man yanked you toward him, forcing your eyes away from the lantern. His voice dropped to a desperate hiss. "Don't answer it. Don't ever answer it. That's how it hooks deeper." You swallowed hard, nodding despite the way your chest quaked. "Good." He released your wrist slowly, though his hand hovered near, ready to grab you again. "If we move quickly, there's still a way out. The woods haven't finished shifting yet." You glanced around. Every direction looked wrong. The trees leaned at strange angles, their bark rippling as though something beneath the surface moved. The path forward stretched into cold, endless light, while behind you there was nothing but the sealed wall of wood. And still, the whisper came. Softer now, almost sweet. "Take it. Carry me. I'll lead you out." The old man stiffened, eyes narrowing. "Don't listen." But the pale lantern pulsed again, swelling so bright that its glow reached past the trees, hinting at an opening in the woods you hadn't seen before, a faint gap, leading into deeper shadow. Your heart pounded. Two choices. Follow the old man's trembling certainty, or trust the glow that promised escape. The woods leaned closer, waiting. The old man tugged at your sleeve, his voice hoarse but sharp. "Not that way. The light lies. Always lies." Your eyes stayed fixed on the faint gap revealed in the distance. The pale lantern's glow reached toward it like a hand pointing the way, as though it wanted you to see it, to trust it. The thought slithered into your mind, "It's showing me the exit. Why would it do that if it meant me harm?" But then you caught the old man's expression. His lips were drawn tight, his eyes bloodshot, and in them burned a kind of hopeless rage, not at you, but at the thing he clearly despised. "If you go where it wants you, you'll never come back." The forest creaked around you. Bark split with soft groans as the trees bent, trunks tilting closer, roots sliding against one another like enormous snakes. The moss beneath your boots thickened, clutching your soles until every step felt like a struggle. You swallowed hard. "Then which way?" The old man pointed into the dark, away from the glow, toward a patch of forest where no path existed. The trees there stood crowded and still, their shadows overlapping into a heavy wall. "That's not a way out," you said, your throat dry. "It is," he replied sharply. "It doesn't look like one, but it is. The woods shift to make it seem impossible. You have to trust me." A sound rippled through the branches then, your voice, repeating again. "Trust me. Trust me. Trust me." mocking, drawn out, until it no longer sounded human. The old man stiffened, his fists tightening at his sides. "It's playing with us." The pale lantern pulsed once more. In its warped glass, the faceless figure shifted. It raised one hand slowly, curling long fingers until it pointed toward the glowing gap. Behind it, dozens of blurred faces pressed harder against the glass, their outlines twitching, restless. Your lantern's flame trembled, nearly extinguished. You panicked, lifting it higher, shielding it with both hands. "Please don't go out. Please don't." The old man grabbed your wrist again. "Don't beg it. Do you hear me?" His voice cracked with something rawer than fear. "That's what it wants." The forest groaned louder, the ground shivering beneath your boots. And then the pale light flared so bright it hurt to look at. The gap in the trees widened, no longer faint but yawning open like an inviting tunnel. You could see shapes moving in its distance, shadows shifting, bending as if clearing a road just for you. The old man hissed through his teeth. "It's bluffing. Don't look. Just keep walking." But the gap beckoned, alive with cold promise. Behind you, the trees sealed tighter. Ahead, the glow promised escape. And to your right, the old man tugged you into darkness, insisting salvation lay where no path existed. Your next step would decide everything. The cold light stretched long fingers toward the gap, illuminating it with such conviction you almost believed the old man had to be wrong. It looked real, realer than the twisted forest around you. Realer than the darkness that pressed against your eyes when you tried to blink it away. Your breath shivered in your chest. "It's right there." The old man jerked you hard to the side, forcing your eyes away from the glow. "No. That's not a path, it's a throat. It looks open, but once you step inside it closes." His face was a mask of trembling fury. "That's how it gets you." The forest around you stirred. The branches groaned in protest, bending, their tips dragging across the ground like skeletal fingers. The pale lantern pulsed, and the whisper came again, sliding straight into your skull. "He lies. He wants it back." You froze. The words slithered through your mind with the ease of a blade through water. You glanced at the old man. His jaw was tight, his eyes wild. He was pulling you into the thickest part of the woods, where no path showed, where the trees stood like sentries. And for the first time, a splinter of doubt twisted inside you. What if it was true? The old man must have seen it in your face. "Don't you dare listen," he snapped, his voice cracking with desperation. "It doesn't need you to believe it, it just needs you to wonder." The glow flared. In its warped glass, the faceless figure tilted its head, almost amused. The others, those blurred shapes pressed against the inside, twitched harder now, their limbs scraping against the glass like moths trying to reach a flame. The ground quaked beneath you. Moss thickened into slick ropes, snaring your boots. You stumbled, and the old man caught you, hauling you upright with strength that shouldn't belong to someone so thin. "Move!" he barked, dragging you into the wall of trees. You resisted for a heartbeat, your gaze flicking back to the pale-lit gap. For a moment you swore you saw something beyond it, an open road, a cottage lantern burning warm and orange in the distance, safety within reach. "Please," you whispered, torn between voices, torn between visions. The forest answered for you. With a groan like thunder rolling underground, the gap snapped shut. The glow winked out, and when you blinked against the sudden dark, you realized it had never been there at all. Just a trick of light and hunger. Your chest heaved. The old man's grip slackened slightly as he muttered, "You see now? You see what it does?" But the pale lantern still burned behind you, steady, patient, its hum burrowing into your bones. "Closer," it whispered. "You're already closer." The old man yanked you forward into the trees, forcing a path where none existed. Branches clawed at your coat, roots tore at your boots, but he didn't stop. His breath came harsh and ragged, a man running not from wolves or shadows but from something older, deeper. "Where are you taking me?" you gasped. His answer was a rasp, nearly drowned by the hum of the lantern. "To the place it can't go." The forest swallowed you both whole. Branches clawed at your arms and shoulders, snapping back with little cuts that stung in the cold. Roots rose like ribs from the earth, catching your boots at every step. The old man pressed forward regardless, his thin frame weaving through the barriers, as if he had walked this path many times before. Your lantern sputtered violently, the flame shrinking, swelling, then shrinking again. You held it tight against your chest, terrified of losing the last sliver of warmth it offered. "Where are you taking me?" you asked again, breath hitching. The old man didn't turn his head. "There's an old hollow. Deep in the woods, past where the trees stop shifting. It can't follow there. It's forbidden to it." You stumbled over a root, barely catching yourself. "Forbidden? By what?" At that, he finally looked back at you, his face stark in the faint light. "By something older than it. Older than us." His voice shook with reverence and dread alike. "The woods aren't only its home. They belong to others too. Things that don't let it stray too far." A branch cracked behind you, sharp as a gunshot. You froze, twisting toward the sound. The pale glow of the lantern was still visible through the trees, no matter how far you had gone. Its hum carried with it, low and steady, as though the forest itself breathed on its behalf. "Keep moving," the old man urged. "Don't look back." But you did. In the warped glass of the lantern, the faceless figure was closer, no longer pressed against the inside but standing as though it had stepped part way out. Its hand gripped the iron frame from within, its head cocked at an angle too sharp, too deliberate. You stumbled backward. "It's following." The old man seized your arm again, yanking you forward. "Don't acknowledge it. That's how it gains ground. Eyes forward. Steps forward." You forced your gaze ahead, though your skin crawled with the certainty of being watched. Every tree seemed to bend slightly as you passed, their bark rippling, their knots forming shapes like sockets and mouths. The old man panted, his breath rattling. "Almost there. You'll see the hollow soon. Just keep moving." The hum behind you deepened, and for the first time, it spoke aloud in a voice that wasn't just inside your head. The sound was warped, broken, as though dozens of voices were layered together. "He'll take you to them. They're worse than me," you faltered. The words slithered through your chest, curling around your ribs like vines. The old man barked. "Ignore it!" His voice cracked into panic. "Don't you dare listen!" But the pale light pulsed once more, steady and confident. And you began to wonder, not whether the hollow existed, but what waited inside it if it truly did. The trees grew thicker, their trunks rising like pillars of a cathedral that had never known light. The air pressed down heavy, damp, and sharp with the smell of rot. Every breath you took felt borrowed. The old man slowed. His shoulders hunched, his steps more cautious. He raised one shaking hand to halt you, his other pressed flat against the bark of a massive oak, as if seeking permission. "We're close," he whispered. His eyes darted across the shadows. "It's here. The hollow. But it'll test us first." You tightened your grip on your lantern. Its flame barely lived now, no more than a stubborn ember. The pale glow behind you remained steady, constant, spilling into the forest like spilled milk soaking the ground. "What kind of test?" you asked, your voice low. The old man didn't answer right away. He swallowed, his throat bobbing in the light. "It doesn't let just anyone through. The hollow, it knows what you are. If you come with lies in your heart, it'll spit you back. Or worse." The silence after his words was crushing. Even the hum of the pale lantern seemed to hold back, waiting. You glanced ahead. The forest dipped suddenly into a clearing where no moonlight touched. At its center yawned a vast hollow in the earth, ringed with roots that twisted downward like ropes. The soil at its edge shimmered faintly, as though damp with dew, or blood. The old man's breathing grew ragged. His fingers shook as he gestured toward the hollow. "This is it. Beyond here, it can't reach you. Not unless you bring it with you." The pale glow behind you pulsed violently, and the voice returned, louder now, worming into your skull with certainty. "He lies. This place is mine." You staggered, clutching your head. The voice was sharper this time, less coaxing, more commanding. The old man grabbed your shoulder, steadying you. Don't let it inside, he urged. Think only of what you are. Not what it tells you. Not what it wants you to believe. You stared at the hollow. The air above it shimmered, rippling faintly, as if the world itself was thinner there. Your heart hammered. What if it doesn't let me in? The old man's face twisted with something like pity. Then you'll never leave these woods. Behind you, branches cracked. The pale lantern was closer, though you hadn't heard it move. Its glow now stretched into the clearing, licking the roots around the hollow, daring them to resist. The hum grew deafening, and the hollow waited. The hollow loomed before you, blacker than night, its edges crawling with roots that seemed alive. You felt it pulling at you, not with hunger, but with expectation, like it wanted something before it would open. The old man stepped forward first. His voice shook, but his back remained straight. It always asks. You give it what it wants, or it doesn't let you through. What does it want? You whispered. His eyes glistened, catching the faint glow of your dying lantern. The truth. Not all of it, just enough. But don't lie. If you lie, his voice trailed off. He didn't need to finish. The roots shivered as if answering for him. A low vibration rolled through the ground, shaking loose dirt into the hollow. Then the voice came, not the pale lanterns, but something deeper, older. It was not spoken in words but in meaning, thrumming directly against your bones. Who are you? The old man straightened, shoulders trembling. I am James Calder, he rasped. I once carried the cursed light. I left it, but it marked me still. And now I am nothing but a man who wishes to be forgotten. The roots at the hollow's edge swayed, then withdrew slightly, as if tasting his words and finding them honest. The ground stilled. James, finally you knew his name, turned to you, his eyes urgent. Your turn. Speak it true, or we both stay here. Your throat tightened. The weight of the forest pressed against you, demanding. You opened your mouth, and froze. Because what truth would the hollow accept? That you were lost? That you were afraid? That you felt the lantern calling to you more strongly than his words ever could? The hum of the pale glow behind you surged, cutting into your thoughts. Say nothing. Come back to me. I'll be your truth. The forest's question repeated, heavier this time, filling the air until it rattled your teeth. Who are you? James hissed at you, desperate. Now! Before it decides! The roots twisted tighter, the hollow waiting, patient but unyielding. And the truth clawed its way up your throat, whether you wanted it spoken or not. Your lips trembled as the hollow's demand reverberated through the clearing, shaking your chest like a drum. Who are you? Your first instinct was silence. To clamp your mouth shut, to let the question pass like wind. But the forest leaned closer, the branches groaning in anticipation, the roots at the hollow's edge writhing like snakes eager for a meal. Silence was not an option. James's voice cracked. Say it! Say who you are! Your throat tightened. The pale lantern pulsed behind you, its hum stronger, sharper, trying to carve its way into your thoughts. You belong to me. Tell them my name. You clenched your teeth, fighting the voice back, and forced the words out. I am. The syllables scraped your throat like shards of glass. I am no one. Just a traveler. I don't belong here. The clearing froze. For one terrifying heartbeat, you thought you had chosen wrong. The roots twisted inward, curling around the hollow's rim like claws. The air pressed down heavier, thick enough to choke you. Then the voice of the hollow came again, low and ancient. Truth enough. The roots slithered back, opening slightly, and the ground quivered. A gap appeared within the hollow, a dark descent that seemed to lead not down but through, into some place the lantern's light had not touched. You gasped in relief. James sagged forward, clutching his chest, whispering, You did it! But the pale lantern roared behind you. Its glow flared so violently that the trees around the clearing bent away from it, their bark sizzling where the light touched. The faceless figure inside had pressed fully against the glass now, its elongated arms straining outward as if the barrier between worlds was thinning. The hum rose into a screech. Lies! You are mine already! Your lantern, the one you carried, flickered violently, almost snuffed out by the surge. You shielded it desperately, but even as you did, the flame bent toward the pale glow as if drawn to it. James grabbed your arm again, pulling you toward the hollow's rim. His voice cracked with urgency. We go now! Before it breaks through! Behind you, the glass of the pale lantern groaned, a crack spider webbing across its warped surface. The faceless figure's hand pressed through the fracture, fingers curling into the night air. The hollow yawned wider, the roots parting further, but the price of entry was clear. You had one passage, but only if you dared to step inside before the lantern's prisoners slipped free. The hollow gaped before you, vast and waiting, its edges slick with glistening soil. The roots writhed like serpents, pulling back just enough to reveal a dark descent. No light touched the bottom. No sound carried up. It was emptiness, deeper than the woods themselves. James's grip on your arm tightened until it hurt. No, he rasped. His eyes darted to the pale lantern behind you. If you hesitate, it'll take you instead. You risked a glance over your shoulder, and your stomach dropped. The pale lantern had changed. Its warped glass was no longer just reflecting the faceless figure. The crack across its surface had widened, glowing veins spidering outward. The figure's hand pushed through, stretching impossibly long, its fingers dripping with something darker than shadow. Behind it, the dozens of blurred shapes pressed harder, their formless faces writhing in frantic hunger. The voice boomed, no longer coaxing but furious. You are mine! Come back! Your lantern nearly died in your grip, its flame a thread of smoke. The glow bent toward the pale one, as if surrender was inevitable. James yanked you to the rim. Jump! You stared down, your heart hammering. The hollow wasn't just a hole in the earth. It was a threshold, pulling at your insides, making your stomach turn. Every instinct screamed against stepping forward. I don't know if I can, you whispered, shaking. James's face contorted with grief and fury. You don't get to know. You just do. Behind you, the crack in the pale lantern split wide with a sound like shattering bone. The faceless figure began to pull itself free, its torso emerging, its limbs long and angular. The blurred faces within screamed soundlessly, their mouths stretched too wide. The forest itself quivered, branches thrashing like a storm had taken hold. The roots at the hollow's rim began to curl inward again, impatient. James gave a final shove, his voice breaking. Jump or it'll take us both! Your foot slipped over the rim. Cold air rushed up from below, swallowing your breath. The hollow pulled at you, heavier than gravity, hungrier than the lantern's glow. And as you tumbled forward, the last thing you saw was James following close behind, his face lit in stark horror as the faceless figure tore through the cracked glass, its head tilting toward you in triumph. Then the dark of the hollow consumed you both. You hit the ground harder than expected, the breath knocked from your lungs. For a moment you lay stunned, your lantern clutched tight against your chest, its flame miraculously unbroken but weak, guttering as if afraid to burn here. When you opened your eyes, the world had changed. The hollow wasn't earth anymore. You stood in a vast cavern, its walls slick and glistening, but no soil, no stone, only something black and smooth, like the inside of a giant's ribcage. The air was damp, heavy, humming faintly with a rhythm that didn't belong to your heartbeat. James groaned beside you, struggling to sit up. His coat was torn, his hands scraped raw, but his eyes widened as he scanned the cavern. It let us through, he whispered, disbelieving. We're inside. The ground beneath your boots pulsed faintly, as if it had veins. You staggered back, pressing your lantern closer, though its glow seemed feeble here. It illuminated only a small circle before being swallowed by the black. Where is this? You asked, your voice hushed, fearful of stirring whatever might lurk in the unseen dark. James shook his head slowly. Not a place men built. Not a place meant for us at all. Something moved in the distance, a low ripple across the surface of the ground, as though the earth itself was breathing. A sound followed, faint at first, then sharper, whispering. Hundreds of voices, overlapping, indistinguishable. You froze. Do you hear that? James's face paled. Yes. They always whisper here. They're the ones it's already taken. You clutched your lantern tighter, staring into the dark. The shadows in the glass? He nodded grimly. Not shadows. Remnants. The whispers swelled, filling the cavern, rising and falling in waves until words almost formed but never did. Your skin prickled, your pulse racing. James caught your shoulder, forcing your eyes to his. Don't answer them. No matter what you hear. Promise me. I promise, you said, though the words felt brittle. The whispers rose louder, urgent now, clawing at your ears. And through the cacophony, one clear voice emerged. Your own. It was your voice, unmistakable, calling from the black. Help me. Please. I can't see. Your lantern flickered violently. Your knees buckled, every instinct screaming to answer. James's hand gripped your arm like a vice. His voice broke through the roar. Don't speak! It's not you! It's never you! The cavern trembled, the whispers growing into a storm. And from the dark ahead, something began to crawl toward you. The sound came first, a wet scrape, like nails dragging across damp stone. Then another, closer. The whispers hushed all at once, as though the cavern itself held its breath to listen. Your lantern's glow quivered, trembling against the black. You raised it higher, heart pounding, every muscle taut. Something emerged at the edge of its light. It wasn't a creature, not fully. Its form shifted with every heartbeat, writhing as though unsure what shape it wanted. Limbs unfolded and folded back again, too many joints bending the wrong way. A torso stretched upward, ribs rising like scaffolding, then collapsed into a hunched, crawling silhouette. And its face, if it had one, was nothing but a smear of pale flesh, blank except for a single, vertical slit where a mouth might have been. From it came your voice again, distorted and raw. Help me! Please! I can't see! You staggered back, bow rising in your throat. That's not... James cut you off, his whisper fierce. Don't listen. Don't believe. The thing lurched forward on all fours, its limbs slapping wetly against the ground. With each step it took, the whispers in the cavern swelled, rising like a chant, urging it closer. Your lantern's flame sputtered. The thing's pale skin reflected the light in oily ripples, as if the glow disgusted it. But instead of recoiling, it leaned into it, pressing closer, your voice spilling louder from its mouth. Please! Please, it's me! Your chest heaved. James! He gripped your arm, dragging you back. It's bait. Nothing more. His face twisted with fear. It wants you to answer, to recognize it. That's how it binds. But the thing's voice broke into sobs, your sobs. Don't let me die here. Don't leave me. It hurt to hear. The words clawed at your ribs, wormed into your heart. James yanked you harder, forcing you to stumble with him deeper into the cavern. Run. Don't look back. The whispers roared, furious now. The thing screamed in your stolen voice, its slit mouth splitting wide, the sound rattling the cavern walls. Your flame flickered, almost out. And as you ran, the crawling thing's voice twisted once more, not pleading now, but triumphant. You already answered. The cavern shook with the crawling thing's scream. The sound reverberated through the slick walls, bouncing back until it seemed to come from every direction at once. James dragged you faster, his grip cutting off circulation in your wrist. The ground beneath you rippled with each step, softening like flesh, trying to slow your flight. Your lantern guttered, its flame almost gone. You cupped your free hand around it, desperate to shield the last trembling spark. If this goes out, don't think about it, James rasped, hauling you through a narrow arch of twisted roots. His breath was ragged, his face slick with sweat. It feeds on fear. Feed it nothing. But fear was all you had left. Behind you, the wet slap of the creature's limbs echoed closer. The whispers rose again, weaving through its pursuit, Yours, yours, yours. You stumbled, your knee cracking hard against the pulsing ground. The lantern wavered, nearly tipping from your grasp. James spun back, seizing your shoulders. His voice was harsh, cutting through the chaos. Don't let it fall. Do you hear me? Whatever happens, don't let it fall. You nodded, though tears blurred your vision. A new sound split the air then, metal groaning, glass shattering. You knew it instantly. The pale lantern above, back in the world you had fled, had broken wider. And something had stepped further through. The whispers faltered, hushed as if in reverence. The crawling thing behind you froze, its limbs folding inward, its body trembling like prey sensing a greater predator. James went pale. His eyes darted upward, to the ceiling of the cavern where veins of faint light began to crack through. It's following, he whispered. Even here. Your stomach dropped. You said it couldn't. I said it wasn't allowed, he hissed, panic bleeding through his voice. But rules break when cracks open. A thunderous boom rolled through the hollow, the walls trembling as flakes of black matter rained down. The crawling thing scurried backward into the dark, keening in your stolen voice. James grabbed your wrist again, pulling you deeper, his words sharp with urgency. We have to reach the heart. Before it does. The ground quivered harder, splitting into jagged seams that glowed faintly with pale light. Your lantern's flame bent toward them, straining like it wanted to leap free. And in the distance ahead, through the shaking dark, something pulsed. A faint red glow, steady as a heartbeat. James pointed, his eyes wide. There! The heart of the hollow. If anything can stop it, it's there. Behind you, the pale voice returned, no longer coaxing but furious, tearing through the cavern with a sound like breaking glass. You are mine already. Don't make me take you. The cavern narrowed into a tunnel, slick walls pressing in on either side. The whispers fell silent here, as if even they feared what waited ahead. Your lantern's flame shrank to a pinprick, its glow pitiful compared to the faint red pulsing deeper inside. With every step, the rhythm grew louder, until you realized it wasn't sound at all but vibration, like the hollow itself had a heartbeat. James stumbled once, catching himself against the wall. His chest heaved with each breath, his eyes wide and feverish. We're close. Don't stop. You swallowed, your throat dry. And if the heart doesn't let us through? He looked at you sharply. Then it won't matter what waits behind us. The tunnel opened suddenly into a vast chamber. At its center rose a grotesque shape, a knot of roots and veins twisting upward into a pulsating mass that glowed red with each throb. The air smelled metallic, thick like blood. You froze. That's it. James nodded grimly. The heart of the hollow. His voice lowered, reverent and fearful all at once. Older than the lantern. Older than whatever crawls through it. This is what keeps the balance. The pulsing mass quickened, responding to your presence. Roots uncoiled and stretched outward like limbs, swaying gently as though testing the air. A sound followed, low, guttural, not quite words but not silence either. And then meaning settled into your bones. Give. James dropped to his knees, his voice cracking. It wants an offering. Always does. The roots swayed toward him, brushing his shoulders, his hair. He shuddered but didn't recoil. It spared me once before. I gave it something of mine, and it let me leave. But it wasn't enough. That's why it still follows me. You clutched your lantern tighter, its flame guttering weakly. What did you give it? His face twisted with grief. My memories. Of her. He shut his eyes tight. My wife. It took every image of her I had, every sound of her voice. I walked out of these woods with an empty bed and no reason why. The red glow swelled, the chamber trembling. The word pressed harder into you. Give. James looked at you, eyes hollow. You have to choose. If you want the heart to shield you, you have to give it something it can keep. Something it knows you won't take back. The roots swayed closer, curling around your arms, your lantern, your chest. You felt them probing, not for flesh, but for meaning. Behind you, a shuddering boom split the cavern. The pale lantern's crack widened further, its faceless prisoner pushing through. Its voice screamed, furious and hungry. "Don't give it anything! You are mine!" The heart throbbed faster, the demand burning inside your skull. "Give!" James fell forward, pressing his forehead to the ground. "Decide!" he choked. "Before it breaks through, give it something you can't live without." The roots curled tighter, waiting. The roots pressed against your skin, cold as river stone, pulsing faintly with the rhythm of the heart. They weren't pulling, they were waiting. James knelt beside you, his body trembling, his face buried in his hands. "Don't hesitate," he whispered. "It knows when you do. If you hesitate, it'll take what it wants instead." The word echoed again, deep enough to shake the marrow in your bones. "Give." Your breath hitched. "But what? I don't know what it wants." James lifted his head, his eyes hollow. "It doesn't want trinkets. Or blood. It wants what roots deepest in you. Memories. Love. Names. Whatever you'd mourn if it was gone." The chamber pulsed red, brighter, hungrier. Behind you, the cavern split wider with a shriek. Pale light poured through the cracks. The faceless thing inside the lantern dragged more of its body free, its limbs too long, scraping against the hollow's walls. Its voice shattered across the chamber, furious and commanding. "Do not give! You are already mine!" The ground quaked. Dust rained from the ceiling. Your lantern's flame fluttered wildly, nearly extinguished by the surge of pale light. The roots coiled tighter around your wrists, your chest, your lantern. Images flashed across your mind, your home, your laughter, faces of those you loved. The hollow wasn't asking, it was choosing, sifting through you like soil through fingers. "No!" you cried, clutching at the roots. "Not them! Not those!" James grabbed your shoulder, shaking you hard. His voice was sharp with desperation. "Then give it something else! Choose before it does!" The heart pulsed faster, harder, the demand searing. "Give!" Your throat burned. Words rose unbidden, trembling. "Take!" The pale figure shrieked behind you, its voice a storm. "And oh! Take!" You gasped, tears stinging your eyes. "Take my fear!" For a breathless moment, the cavern froze. The roots tightened, their touch piercing deeper, threading through your ribs and spine. Your chest seized, as though something was being torn out, not flesh, but the trembling spark of terror that had lived inside you since you first saw the pale lantern. The red glow swelled violently, the heart throbbing with approval. The word came again, softer now, satisfied. "Given." The roots released you, slithering back into the mass. The chamber's trembling eased. And inside you, a hollow quiet remained where your fear had been. Your pulse slowed. Your breath came steady. The terror was gone, stripped away, leaving only a stark, cold clarity. James stared at you, his face pale. "You gave it your fear," he whispered, awed and horrified. "God help you!" Behind you, the faceless figure shrieked louder, its fury rattling the walls. The pale glow struggled against the hollow's red pulse, but for the first time, it faltered. The balance had shifted. The faceless figure tore free from the pale lantern with a sound like splitting bone. Shards of warped glass scattered across the cavern floor, dissolving into pale mist. Its limbs unfolded, long and angular, scraping deep grooves into the ground as it pulled itself upright. The whispers returned in a frenzy, the stolen voices crying and screaming, hundreds overlapping into a single storm. The cavern pulsed with red light from the heart, fighting against the figure's pale glow. The two forces clashed in the air, heat and cold colliding until the walls shivered and cracked. James collapsed to his knees, clutching his head, teeth bared in agony. "It's too strong," he gasped. "It's broken the rules." But you felt different. Your chest was still. No tremor in your hands, no quake in your breath. The fear that had once hollowed your stomach, made your knees weak, filled your mind with frantic images, it was gone. Stripped away by the heart. All that remained was clarity, sharp as glass. You rose to your feet, lantern in hand. Its flame barely lived, yet you no longer shielded it. You didn't need to. The faceless figure loomed over you, its blank head tilting with unnatural curiosity. It lowered itself, bringing its eyeless face within inches of yours. Its slit mouth opened, stretching wider than it should, and your own voice spilled out again. Please, please be afraid. You stared into its nothingness and said calmly, I can't. The whispers shrieked in protest, the figure recoiling slightly, its limbs twisting. The cavern shook with its rage. James lifted his head, staring at you in shock. What did you? You didn't answer. You stepped forward. The pale figure hissed, its form rippling as though it couldn't quite hold shape under your gaze. Without fear, its edges blurred, its limbs faltered, its height seemed less impossible. Do you see? You said softly, your voice steady. You only lived in me because I let you. You were only as strong as my fear. The thing shrieked, staggering backward, its arms flailing, striking cracks into the cavern walls. The whispers rose higher, desperate now. James scrambled up, clutching at your sleeve. His voice was hoarse. Don't provoke it. You don't understand what it can. But you did. You understood perfectly. Because the more you looked at it, the more it withered, its shape twitching, shrinking, unraveling under the weight of your calm. For the first time since entering the woods, you felt power shift. Not to James. Not to the hollow. To you. And the faceless figure knew it. The cavern rang with the faceless figure's shriek, a howl that was not sound but pressure, pressing against your skull like claws raking the inside of your head. James stumbled backward, clutching his ears, blood dripping from his nose. You stood steady. Your chest rose and fell calmly, your pulse unshaken. Fear was gone, carved out by the heart. The scream couldn't pierce you. The figure faltered. Its long limbs spasmed, its body quivering as though unraveling under your gaze. Its blank face cracked down the center, splintering like porcelain. James shouted through the roar, his voice hoarse. Don't watch it! Don't! But you didn't look away. The cracks split wider, and for the first time, you saw what lay beneath the faceless mask. It wasn't empty. Dozens, no, hundreds, of faces churned beneath the surface. Mouths open in silent cries, eyes wide with despair, each pressing against the cracking shell, desperate to escape. The blur you had seen through the lantern's warped glass had not been distortion. It had been truth. Every soul it had ever taken lived inside, a prison of flesh and silence. Your throat tightened. Not with fear, but with something colder, recognition. Some of the faces were whole, clear, not blurred at all. A woman with hair falling across one eye. A boy whose smile was frozen mid-laugh. An old man with eyes hollowed by grief. And countless others, all trapped in that skin. The figure leaned closer, the cracked mask peeling back like rotting bark. The faces stretched toward you, and in one terrible instant, you saw your own reflection among them, your mouth open in a scream you hadn't given, your eyes wide with terror you no longer felt. James screamed, his voice breaking. Don't look! It's showing you the cage! But you did look. You couldn't not. And as you stared into your own trapped reflection, the figure spoke, not with stolen voices, not with whispers, but with a single word that shook the cavern to its roots. Join! The red glow of the heart pulsed violently in answer, as though it, too, waited to see what you would choose. The word rattled the chamber. Join. It wasn't a request. It was inevitability, a command sewn into the marrow of the cavern. The faces beneath the figure's cracked mask pressed harder, their eyes rolling, mouths stretching wider. Some wept. Some screamed. Some looked at you with desperate, pleading hope. And there, your own reflection again. Trapped, blurred, flickering as though it had been waiting longer than you'd been alive. James staggered to your side, grabbing your sleeve. His hand shook violently, his fingernails biting into the fabric. Don't listen. It's not showing you the truth. It's showing you what it wants you to believe. But his eyes betrayed him. He couldn't look directly at the faces. His gaze skittered away each time they shifted, each time one pressed close enough to almost be clear. The figure bent lower, its limbs creaking like trees under storm winds. Its cracked mask peeled further, falling away in chunks, revealing more faces underneath. Layer upon layer, endless. And in the cacophony of mouths, one voice rose clear, your mother's voice. "Please, don't leave me here." Your heart lurched. The words struck deep, automatic, before you could reason. But no fear followed. Only coldness. Clarity. You could see the manipulation in the figure's stretch, the way its many mouths shifted to form the perfect one to break you. Still, the temptation was real. What if the hollow hadn't lied? What if souls truly were trapped inside this thing, waiting for release? The heart throbbed behind you, its red glow pulsing faster, as though impatient. The roots at your feet writhed, curling around your boots. James shook you again, his voice cracking. "Don't step closer. That's how it takes you. You think you're saving them, but you're just another face." The figure's massive mouths opened wider, the sound rising into a hideous harmony. Your name spoken over and over, in voices you trusted, in voices you loved. Join. 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 The red light swelled. The pale glow burned. And you stood caught between two hungers. The hollow, demanding more. The figure, offering eternity. James gripped your arm, his voice breaking. "Choose! Before it chooses for you." The cavern quaked, red light from the heart clashing violently with the pale glow of the figure. Dust rained from the ceiling. Roots writhed around your ankles, tightening like shackles, urging you backward toward the pulsing heart. The figure stretched forward, its body creaking, its hundreds of faces contorting. The cracked mask finally shattered, scattering like shards of bone. The thing loomed over you, its skin alive with mouths, eyes, voices all pressing outward. Your name rolled through them, hundreds of variations, soft and pleading, harsh and demanding, all at once. Join. James's grip was iron on your arm, but his strength faltered. He was shaking, pale, eyes wide with horror. "Don't let it touch you," he whispered. "Not even once. If it touches you, it's over." You lifted your lantern. Its flame flickered faintly, stubborn but weak. The light didn't repel the figure, but it distorted it, making its faces waver, blur. Some recoiled, some stretched closer as though eager. The figure hissed in your own voice again. "I am already you." The words slipped into your chest like a needle. For a moment, the faces blurred together, and you saw not strangers, not shadows, but yourself repeated endlessly, each version caught at a different point in life. A child, a youth, an old man. All pressed into the prison, all watching you with the same hollow eyes. Your breath caught. A dizziness struck you, sharp and dizzying. The figure's pale glow swelled, pulling harder. Behind you, the heart thundered, the word rattling your bones. Give. The roots curled up your legs now, gripping your thighs, holding you steady. The hollow demanded another offering, one greater than before. James fell to his knees beside you, his voice breaking. "You can't feed both. If you give again, the heart will keep you. If you give nothing, the figure will take you. You have to choose." The whispers roared, furious and desperate. Join. Give. The ground split at your feet, red veins crawling one way, pale cracks the other. The cavern tilted, two hungers stretching you between them. And for the first time since your fear was gone, you felt the weight of choice. The ground split wider, veins of red glowing on one side, veins of pale light burning on the other. The air warped, bending like heat rising off stone. The heart's throb pounded in your chest, steady and demanding. The figure's glow seared your skin, cold as knives. James clutched your arm, his voice raw. "Don't let them tear you apart. Choose one. Now!" The roots climbed higher, curling around your waist, your ribs, your lantern. The heart pressed its command into your bones. Give. The figure bent lower, hundreds of mouths shaping your name, your voice, the voices of everyone you loved. Join. Your lantern trembled. Its flame guttered, pulled in two directions at once, bending toward the red glow of the heart, then snapping back toward the pale figure's prison of faces. It stretched so thin you thought it might tear itself out entirely. James's eyes shone wet in the dim light. If you give again, you'll lose more than fear. It'll take something deeper. Something you can't live without. And if I don't? You asked, though your voice was steady, calm. He looked at the figure, at its countless faces straining forward. His jaw clenched. Then you'll never be yourself again. Just another mouth. Another reflection. The pale figure reached forward, a dozen hands pressing through its skin, all clawing toward you. One of the faces in its chest stretched close, a face you knew. James's. His eyes wide, his mouth open in a scream that matched the real man clutching you now. Your stomach twisted, but no fear followed. Only clarity. The figure wasn't only made of strangers. It had already taken him, or pieces of him. Maybe it had taken everyone who ever wandered this far. The heart pulsed harder. The roots dug deeper, slicing your skin, drinking the smallest drops of blood. Give. The figure's voices thundered, mouths opening wider, the air thick with their demand. Join. The cavern convulsed, a storm of red and pale tearing at your body. Your lantern flared wildly, its glass rattling as if it might burst. And in the storm of noise and light, James screamed in your ear, voice cracking. If you give, it'll cost you your name. The figure's chorus rose to drown him out. You already belong. The world split down the middle, and you stood at its fault line, one step toward the heart, one step toward the figure. And neither would wait much longer. The cavern shook so violently the walls split open, veins of red and pale tearing through each other. Roots lashed like whips. The figure loomed closer, its mouth open wide, screaming your name until the sound was nothing but pressure crushing your skull. The heart pulsed, the command pounding into your bones. Give. James clawed at your arm, desperate. Don't let it take you. Give the heart what it wants. It's the only way. The figure stretched out a hand of countless hands, its faces writhing, pleading. You're already mine. Just step forward. Your lantern flickered violently, its flame pulled taut between the two hungers. The glass cracked with a sharp ping. You knew if it shattered, there would be nothing left to anchor you. And in that moment, clarity came. Fear was gone. Doubt was gone. Only choice remained. You turned to the heart. Its roots coiled tighter, piercing your skin. Warm blood ran down your arms, soaking into the pulsing mass. It throbbed eagerly, waiting. You whispered, steady, certain, "Take my name." James gasped, his voice strangled. "No, you don't know what." But the hollow already answered. The roots plunged deep, not into flesh but into the marrow of you, pulling, stripping. You felt your name unravel, thread by thread, until it no longer existed. Not on your lips, not in your memory, not in the fabric of the world. You opened your mouth to speak it, and nothing came. A hollow silence filled the gap where it had once been. The heart pulsed with satisfaction. Given. The roots recoiled, retreating into the red mass. Your lantern steadied, its flame flaring bright for the first time since entering the woods. The pale glow faltered, its figure shrieking in fury as the prison of faces twisted and writhed. The mouths screamed your name, yet none could form it now. It had been erased. You were invisible to it. The faceless figure thrashed, striking the cavern walls, its body collapsing inward without your fear, without your name to anchor it. Faces peeled away into the dark, swallowed by the hollow. James stared at you, horror in his eyes. You gave it your name. He whispered. Do you even know who you are anymore? You opened your mouth to answer. Only silence. The figure shrieked one last time, then split apart, its pale glow extinguished. The cavern shuddered, the whispers fading into silence. Only the red pulse of the heart remained. And you stood nameless, lantern in hand, steady in the quiet. Silence settled over the cavern, heavy and absolute. The pale glow was gone, swallowed by the heart's red pulse, leaving only the echo of its screams pressed faintly into the walls. You stood in the center of it all, lantern steady in your hand. Its flame burned stronger now, clean and defiant, no longer threatened by the figure's hunger. But inside you, there was absence. James staggered to his feet, wiping blood from his nose. His eyes fixed on you, wide, shining with a kind of awe and horror both. You actually did it. You gave it your name. You opened your mouth to speak, to say something simple. Yes, I did, but the words snagged. Your name did not rise to your lips. It didn't exist. Not in you, not in the air, not in memory. James's voice dropped, softer now, almost reverent. What do I call you then? You shook your head slowly. The motion itself felt strange, as though it belonged to someone else. Without a name, you weren't tethered the same way. You were untethered. The roots around the heart retracted, pulling back into the pulsing mass. The red glow dimmed slightly, content sated. The chamber's tremors faded until only stillness remained. But James wouldn't stop staring. His mouth worked, his jaw twitching. Names are anchors, he muttered, almost to himself. They hold you to the world, keep you from drifting. He swallowed hard, meeting your gaze. Without one, you're not safe. Not even from me. Something in his eyes shifted then, something hungry. For the first time, you wondered if the James beside you was still the man who had helped you, or if pieces of him had already joined the prison of faces. Your lantern flickered once, and in its glow you thought you saw another James at the chamber's edge, kneeling, broken, whispering silently. The James at your side stepped closer, his expression unreadable. We can leave now, he said. The hollow won't stop us. But his hand trembled as he reached for you. And without a name, you had no way to be certain if the man before you was truly him, or something else wearing his shape. The chamber exhaled. That was the only way you could describe it. The hollow let go. The red light dimmed to a slow, steady pulse, no longer demanding, no longer pressing against your skull. It had taken what it wanted. And in that silence, James straightened, his shoulders stiff, his breath ragged. His hand lingered in the air between you, not touching, not withdrawing. You don't feel it, do you? He asked softly. His voice carried something brittle, like glass under strain. The weight of being seen, the pull of being called. It's gone. You stared at him, your namelessness like a cold emptiness inside you. You didn't feel lighter. You didn't feel heavier. You just were. James's eyes flickered, his lips twitching with something almost like envy. When I gave it my wife, I thought the silence afterward was freedom. But it wasn't. It was just grief I couldn't name. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. You gave it yourself. That's not freedom. That's erasure. Your lantern glowed stronger now, steady and alive. It cast a clear circle of light that felt incorruptible, a sharpness in the dark. James flinched from it. Only slightly, but you saw. And then you realized, the whispers hadn't taken him. Not fully. The pale lantern hadn't either. But the hollow had left its mark on him long before you arrived. Pieces missing. Shadows deeper than they should be. Come, he said, turning toward a narrow passage where the cavern walls had split, revealing the faint outlines of trees beyond. The woods. It's letting us go. We can walk free. The roots shifted behind you, curling lazily as if to agree. The heart no longer cared. But as James beckoned, something twisted in your gut. The way he stood just outside your light, the way his voice carried, not quite his own, not entirely false. He glanced back, impatience flashing in his eyes. You trust me, don't you? The question lingered in the air like bait. Without fear, you didn't flinch. But without a name, you couldn't tell if the bond between you was still real, or just another trick the hollow had left behind. Your lantern flame swayed once, bending faintly toward the tunnel. And somewhere beyond the trees, you thought you heard it again, an echo, faint, impossible. Take it. The tunnel spat you both out into the night. One moment, the cavern pulsed red around you. The next, you were standing once more beneath the canopy of the forest. The air was colder here, sharper, carrying the scent of pine and damp leaves. The moon hung low, veiled by shifting clouds, its silver light faint against the steady glow of your lantern. You turned in a slow circle. The woods were silent, as they had been before, but different now. The silence wasn't expectant, wasn't crushing. It was watchful. James stumbled to your side, breathing hard, his boots sinking into moss. For a long moment he said nothing, just stared upward at the canopy, his chest rising and falling. Then, with a rasp of relief, he whispered, "We made it." But you weren't so sure. The forest looked the same, yet you felt its weight differently. Without your name, the trees didn't recognize you. Their shadows didn't bend quite the same way. The ground underfoot didn't hum with menace, it hummed with indifference. Your lantern flame burned brighter here, defiant against the dark. James's eyes darted to it, and away again. He licked his lips. "That light, stronger than before. The hollow gave it back to you." You said nothing. Your tongue formed no answer, not even a wordless grunt. It wasn't silence by choice. Words came out empty now, stripped of anchor. Without a name, your voice had weight but no root. James noticed. His shoulders stiffened. "It took more than I thought." A branch cracked deeper in the woods. You raised your lantern, and froze. Far down the path, half hidden between the trees, hung the lantern. Not yours. Not pale. Not red. This one glowed faintly gold, soft and warm, as though a hearth fire burned inside it. It swung gently from a low branch, casting honest shadows across the moss. James inhaled sharply. "No. That's not—" He stopped, shaking his head. "That's not real." But it looked real. So real your chest ached just seeing it, a comfort you hadn't felt since before the woods, before the whispers, before the hollow had taken your name. And then, faintly, you heard it. Not a command. Not hunger. Just a whisper, warm and human. "Come home." James snarled, grabbing your arm. His fingers dug in hard enough to bruise. "Don't. Don't you dare. That's how it starts again." The gold light swayed, gentle and patient, waiting. And you stood between James's grip and the promise of warmth, unsure which one was more dangerous. The golden lantern swung softly, its glow spilling across the moss like warm honey. It didn't hum, didn't pulse, didn't command. It simply existed, patient and steady, as though it had been waiting for you all along. Your chest tightened. For the first time since the hollow stripped your name, you felt something like longing. Not fear, not hunger. Longing. James yanked your arm, his voice raw with urgency. "Don't look at it! Don't listen!" You turned to him, your expression calm, lantern light sharp against his shadowed face. He looked more ragged than before, his coat torn, his skin pallid, his eyes too bright. His words shook with desperation, almost pleading. "What is it?" you asked, not with your mouth, but with the clarity of thought that came when speech failed you. Somehow James understood. "It's bait," he spat. "Another trick. The woods know what you crave. Warmth. Belonging. Home. That's all it is." A mask hung on a branch. But his voice faltered at the edges, thin and brittle. His gaze flicked toward the glow more than once, his lips tightening every time. The golden lantern swayed again, and a voice drifted from it, soft, familiar, unmistakable. It was your own, but not hollow, not distorted. It was how you remembered sounding before the woods, steady, human. "You can rest now," James snarled, clutching at his head. "It's lying! You don't rest here, you never rest." But the voice didn't press. It didn't demand. It simply invited. You lifted your own lantern, flame steady, light clear. The golden glow did not fight against it. Instead, it seemed to blend, to welcome it, as though both belonged to the same world. For the first time, the pale echo of "take it" did not follow. Only silence, broken by the creak of the branch as the golden lantern swayed. James's grip on you trembled. His voice broke, not with fury this time, but with grief. "Please, don't leave me with it." You looked at him then, truly looked. His shadow bent wrong in your light, stretched longer than his frame, twitching at the edges. His face flickered in the glow, sometimes young, sometimes old, sometimes blurred. The hollow hadn't only marked him, it had taken pieces. And as you watched, you realized something chilling. The golden lantern wasn't calling both of you. It was calling only you. The golden lantern swayed gently, its light spilling wider, touching the bark of nearby trees. The moss shimmered under it, glowing faintly as though remembering sunlight. Your own lantern's flame leaned toward it, not hungrily, but naturally, like a child recognizing kin. James's breath hitched. He pulled you back, his grip almost painful. Don't you see? It isn't for me. It doesn't want me. The truth sat heavy in the air. You didn't need words to confirm it. The golden glow ignored him completely, its warmth bypassing him as though he weren't even there. James's face twisted, fear and rage warring across his features. That's not freedom. That's rejection. His voice cracked, low and bitter. It means the woods have already claimed me. You studied him in the steady glow of your lantern. His edges blurred faintly, his shadow twitching like it belonged to something else. His eyes glistened, not with tears, but with reflection, like mirrors catching stray light. The golden lantern whispered again, soft, tender, impossible to resist. Step closer. It didn't sound like a lure. It sounded like release. James shoved you, desperation twisting his strength. No! Don't you dare leave me here! You stumbled but didn't fall. Your lantern's flame flared steady, brighter than before, shielding you. James hissed and recoiled, shielding his eyes like the light seared him. And in that moment you knew. Whatever still wore James's shape, it wasn't entirely him anymore. Too many pieces gone. Too many trades made. The woods had hollowed him out, and what remained clung to you, not out of trust, but out of need. The golden glow brightened, calling again. You are not lost. James's voice dropped to a growl, low and trembling. If it takes you, then what am I? What's left of me? He stepped between you and the golden light, his shadow stretching long, his outline twitching. Stay, he whispered, his words shaking. Stay with me in the dark. James stood between you and the golden lantern, his frame outlined in your steady flame. At first glance, he was still the same man who had dragged you from the pale glow, who had whispered warnings in your ear, who had begged you not to take what wasn't yours. But his shadow betrayed him. It stretched unnaturally long across the moss, twitching as though alive, its limbs bending the wrong way, its head splitting into two before snapping back into one. And when your lantern flared brighter, the shadow writhed like something caught in pain. The golden light did not touch him. It slid past him as if he were transparent, as though he no longer belonged to the world it offered. His eyes burned with something sharp and wild. You think it's saving you? You think it's different? His voice cracked, every word spat like venom. It isn't. It only wants what the others wanted, what the hollow wanted, what the pale one wanted. To take. To leave you empty. You stared at him calmly, your namelessness a cold clarity inside you. And yet it doesn't want you. The words weren't cruel, they were simply true. And truth struck him harder than any weapon. His face twisted. For a moment, you saw grief there, real and human. Then it curdled into rage. Because I'm already taken. Because I gave too much. He bared his teeth, his voice dropping low. But if I can't have its light, either can you. He lunged. Your lantern flared instinctively, throwing him back. His body slammed against the tree, his shadow convulsing violently, splitting into dozens of twitching outlines before snapping back to one. He staggered upright, eyes wide, chest heaving. The golden lantern swayed gently, untouched by the chaos, its glow still patient. Still waiting. James wiped blood from his mouth, his voice breaking. I won't let it have you. Better you rot in the dark with me than vanish into another lie. He stepped forward again, slower this time, hands trembling, fingers crooked like claws. Behind him, the golden glow brightened, spilling further across the forest floor until it touched your boots. Warmth surged through you, steady and undeniable. James froze, staring at the light as though it burned him. His voice shook, strangled between fury and despair. Don't go. But the woods had already chosen. The golden lantern's glow stretched farther, brushing against the moss, painting the trees in warm tones the forest hadn't seen in years. The air softened, the silence broke with the faintest rustle of leaves, like the woods themselves exhaled. James recoiled from it. His skin looked sallow in the light, his eyes too wide, reflecting nothing but pale emptiness. His shadow writhed at his feet, splitting and reforming, its edges bending into unnatural shapes. His lips trembled. You think that light will free you? No. It'll hollow you out the same way. Just slower. Just sweeter. You raised your lantern, its steady flame casting clarity across him. He flinched, his face contorting in pain, his shadow buckling like it was being crushed. James, you said, not a plea, not a question, but the simple fact of what he once was. He snarled, the sound raw, animal. Don't call me that! Don't remind me! His voice split, layered, as though more than one thing spoke through him. James died when he gave her away. His body convulsed, his hands curling into claws. His mouth stretched too wide, jaw cracking as though it no longer fit his face. From the hollow spaces in his eyes, a faint pale glow seeped, threads of light wriggling like worms. The woods bent toward him, branches groaning overhead. The moss quivered under your feet. The air stank of rot and iron. He staggered forward, teeth bared, his voice a hiss. If I can't leave, either can you. Your lantern's flame flared in answer, stronger, brighter, as though the golden lantern fueled it. The warmth rolled off you in waves. James screamed, clutching his head. His shadow split into dozens now, each writhing in agony, stretching up the trees like silhouettes of creatures that weren't there. The golden lantern swayed once more, its glow spilling over him. Where it touched, his body blistered. His skin cracked, flaking into pale ash. He shrieked, staggering back, his form unraveling. Through the scream, you caught one last glimpse of his face, the man he had been. Hollow-eyed. Broken. But still human. Then the woods tore him away. His body collapsed into shadow, then nothing. Only the echo of his voice lingered, faint, bitter, and lost. Don't leave me here. The golden light brightened, clearing the forest floor, washing away the last of his shadow. And you stood alone, lantern steady in your hand, the path ahead illuminated in a warmth that felt almost like dawn. Almost. The golden lantern swayed gently, its light stretching farther, casting long beams through the trees. The forest, once suffocating and bent, seemed to relax under its glow. Branches loosened, moss brightened, and even the silence softened, no longer crushing but calm. You stepped forward, and your lantern's flame flared brighter, steady and sure. It no longer sputtered, no longer feared extinction. The golden glow nourished it. The warmth reached your skin, spreading through your chest. For the first time since losing your name, you felt something close to peace. The voice came again, soft and steady, no command in it, just an invitation. Come home. You froze. Home. The word stabbed deep, but it rang hollow without a name to tie it to. What was home to someone who no longer belonged anywhere? Your boots pressed into moss that shimmered faintly, glowing like embers in the golden light. The path ahead bent slightly, as though the forest itself was yielding, clearing away. You lifted your lantern, and for a moment the two lights, yours and the golden one, overlapped. Their glow merged, filling the trees with warmth that felt true. But deep in your chest, a question gnawed. If the woods had shown you pale light to trick you, and the hollow had demanded blood and memory, then what was this? Salvation? Or just another mask, sweeter than the rest? The lantern swayed once more, and this time a figure stood beneath it. Not James. Not a faceless thing. A woman. Her outline was soft, blurred by distance, but her posture was unmistakably human. She held the golden lantern in one hand, her head bowed, her hair falling across her face. When she lifted her gaze, you staggered back. It was her face. The one James said he had given away, the wife he could no longer remember. And she was smiling. "Come," she said gently. Her voice was warm, familiar, the kind of voice that could anchor someone to the world. "You've wandered long enough." Your lantern trembled in your hand, its flame bending toward hers like a moth to fire. The golden glow pulsed warmly, inviting. And in the hush of the forest, you realized the woods hadn't stopped speaking. It was simply waiting for your answer. The woman beneath the lantern didn't move. She simply stood there, one hand holding the chain, her face half hidden by her hair, her smile soft, patient. Your chest tightened. James's warning echoed faintly in memory. I gave her away. If this was true, then she was not hers anymore. She belonged to the hollow, to the woods, to the hunger that never stopped taking. And yet, she looked whole. Human. More human than James had been in years. Your lantern's flame pulled toward her, steady, unwavering, like it had recognized her. She raised her free hand toward you, palm open. Her voice slipped through the air, warm and quiet. "Come. You don't have to wander anymore." You stepped forward once, instinct carrying you. The forest bent with you, branches shifting aside, moss smoothing under your boots. The golden glow spread wider, painting the trees with warmth they hadn't known in centuries. And for a moment, you almost believed. But then the air rippled. Not much, just a faint shimmer, like heat above stone. The woman's face flickered. Her smile twisted, then smoothed again. Your lantern flared sharply, light stabbing against the shimmer. The golden glow bent under it, just slightly, as though two truths had collided. The woman's smile widened, too wide now, though only for an instant before snapping back. Her hand didn't waver, but her shadow, yes, her shadow stretched strangely across the ground, splitting into several outlines before settling back to one. The forest rustled, a faint sigh in the branches. Behind you, where James had vanished into ash, the air quivered. A whisper brushed the back of your mind, faint, mocking, familiar. "Take it!" Your knuckles whitened around your lantern. Its flame burned steady, unwavering, a judge in the dark. The woman tilted her head, patient. "What are you waiting for?" Her shadow twitched again. You held your lantern higher, its flame steady and clear, no longer trembling as it once had. The golden light wavered faintly against it, as though unsure of itself. The woman's smile never faltered. Her outstretched hand lingered, fingers pale and delicate, waiting. "Come," she said softly. "It's over now." But your namelessness gave you clarity. Without fear, without the tether of who you were, you saw more than her words. You saw the edges of her, too smooth, too perfect. You saw the way her body swayed not with breath, but with the creak of the branch above her. And her shadow twitched again, splitting into 3, into 5, before snapping back. You took a slow step closer, not to accept, but to test. Your lantern's flame leaned forward, brushing against the edge of her glow. The air between the two lights rippled violently, as though oil meeting water. Her smile twitched. For a heartbeat, it stretched too wide, exposing teeth that were not human. Then it snapped back. "You're tired," she whispered, her voice almost trembling now. "So tired. Let me carry you. Let me take what you've borne." Your lantern flared brighter, the flame burning taller, sharper. The golden glow faltered visibly, its edges thinning. Her eyes flickered, and in them you saw not warmth but hunger. A mirrored echo of the pale lantern's faceless figure, wrapped in prettier clothes. From the treetops above, branches groaned, bending toward you, their bark glowing faintly gold. The forest leaned into the trick, trying to smother you in comfort. Behind you, the whisper came again, low and venomous, almost laughing. "Told you." You steadied your lantern, voice clear though stripped of name. "You're no different." The golden figure's smile cracked, her face warping, flickering between dozens of shapes. A mother, a friend, a lover, a stranger, all faces you might have trusted. All masks. Finally, her voice dropped, layered with many tones at once. "And still, you stepped closer." The golden glow surged, a last desperate blaze. And the forest lunged with it. The golden glow burst outward, flooding the clearing with warmth so intense it seared your skin. For an instant, it was beautiful. Trees lit like torches, moss gleaming as if on fire, the air alive with light. But beauty bent fast into horror. The figure beneath the lantern shuddered, her form cracking like porcelain. The smile split wider, skin tearing at the edges of her mouth until it stretched past her cheeks. Her arms elongated, joints bending wrong, fingers unraveling into tendrils of light that writhed hungrily. The golden lantern above her swayed violently, its glow sputtering, revealing flashes of something darker inside, an oily core that pulsed faintly, familiar in its hunger. Your lantern flared in answer, its flame steady and sharp, cutting through the flood of false warmth. The two lights collided, sparks bursting where they met, casting shadows that writhed like living things across the trees. The figure screamed. Not with one voice, but with hundreds, men, women, children, all layered together, all pleading, all commanding. Stay! Rest! Be ours! The ground split beneath her feet, roots glowing gold as they surged upward, curling around your legs, trying to drag you closer. They felt softer than the hollow's roots, almost gentle, but their grip was no less binding. You ripped free, your nameless clarity anchoring you. You're no sanctuary, you said, calm as steel. The figure faltered, her faces flickering faster now, too many to hold. One moment she was James's wife, the next a child with wide eyes, then a faceless blur. The only constant was her hunger. The golden lantern above cracked with a sound like splitting glass. Light spilled unevenly, flickering between gold and pale, warmth and cold, lie and lie. And then you understood. The golden mask wasn't separate. It was another face of the same hunger that had stalked you since the first lantern, another trick, another trap, sweeter but no less consuming. The figure shrieked, lunging. Her tendrils of light lashed toward your chest, toward your lantern, toward the space where your name used to be. But without fear, you did not flinch. You raised your lantern high, flame bright and sharp, a cut of truth in the chaos. The two lights collided, and the forest roared. The clearing shook as your lantern's flame collided with the golden glow. Sparks flew, scattering across the trees like embers, burning holes into the false warmth. The golden figure shrieked, her tendrils of light writhing, snapping back like severed ropes. The lantern above her cracked wider. Its glow sputtered, revealing not fire but a writhing black mass inside, veins of pale light tangled with roots of red, the two battling for dominance. It wasn't gold at all. It was both hungers knotted together, painted over with a sweeter mask. The figure's body convulsed. Her many faces peeled away like wet paper, sliding off in sheets, slapping onto the moss before dissolving into ash. Each face screamed as it vanished, the cries melting into a single roar that rattled your bones. And then the mask was gone. What remained was the woods. The trees themselves bent inward, bark twisting into features, knots opening like eyes, cracks widening into mouths. The ground split with long, gaping fissures that pulsed faintly with both pale and red light. The forest had never been a backdrop. It had always been the thing. Every lantern, pale, golden, even the hollow's heart, was only a piece of it. A lure. A mask. A test. Now it stood bare before you, no longer pretending. Branches slammed into the ground around you, roots lashing upward, moss boiling beneath your boots. The roar of voices rose, the stolen cries of countless wanderers, their words breaking through in fragments. Stay. Ours. No more. Join. Your lantern burned steady, its flame cutting a small circle of clarity in the chaos. The woods pressed harder, branches straining against the boundary of your light but never crossing it. For the first time, you realized it couldn't. Not while your lantern burned. The trees groaned, furious, their mouths splitting wider. Shadows writhed like serpents at the edge of your glow. The forest no longer whispered, it demanded. Put it down! The command rattled the ground, pressed into your chest, tore at your bones. But your flame burned on, steady, nameless, fearless. And for the first time, the woods seemed afraid of you. The woods roared. Not with wind, not with whispers, This was the sound of living things enraged, 1,000 voices tangled in one endless scream. Branches whipped down from above, snapping like whips against the ground. Roots surged upward, striking like spears. The moss underfoot writhed, softening into grasping hands that clawed at your boots. But none of it crossed the light. Your lantern's flame burned steady, drawing a perfect circle around you, an island of clarity. Every strike stopped short, bending, hissing, recoiling as though the flames scalded them. The forest bellowed louder, the word booming through the trees until bark split and sap bled like ichor. Put it down! Your nameless chest remained calm, steady. Without fear, the demand struck but could not settle. The flame did not waver. The ground split open in front of you. From the fissure, a shape rose, tall, hunched, dragging itself free with limbs that bent like broken branches. It had no face, no eyes, only a hollow maw in its chest that sucked at the air, a void hungering for flame. It lunged, slamming against the boundary of your light. The impact rattled your arms, your lantern's glass ringing with the force. For the first time, the flame stuttered. The woods howled with triumph. Roots wrapped around your wrists, squeezing, trying to force the lantern from your grip. Bark split into hands that reached down, clawing, desperate to smother the light. You staggered, knees buckling, but the flame flared again, fueled not by you, but by the absence inside you. Fearless, nameless, untethered. The lantern belonged to no hunger but its own. The forest shrieked, branches cracking overhead. The faceless thing slammed again, harder, the void in its chest pulling, sucking at your flame. Your lantern hissed, its glass cracking. For the first time, doubt, not fear, but cold reason, slipped in. How long could the flame resist? The void in the creature's chest widened, pulling harder, its roar drowning the forests. James's voice whispered faintly from nowhere, bitter and broken. Don't let it fall. You tightened your grip until your knuckles bled, lantern steady, flame defiant. And as the void lunged again, you stepped forward, into it. The creature's chest yawned wide, a hollow pit of sucking dark. Air rushed toward it, dragging leaves, soil, splinters of bark into its endless maw. You stepped forward anyway, your lantern raised high. The moment your light crossed the threshold, the void convulsed. Its edges rippled like oil in water, recoiling from the steady flame. For a heartbeat you thought it would swallow you whole, then you realized it couldn't. Your lantern's flame bent inward, not weakened, but piercing. The dark screamed. You pressed farther. Roots clawed at your legs, branches struck your shoulders, the forest howling in fury. But you kept walking, lantern steady, fearless. And then the void tore open. You were no longer in the clearing. The forest, the trees, even the creature itself, all fell away. You stood instead in a vast emptiness, black and endless, the air heavy with the scent of rot and smoke. Around you hung lanterns. Hundreds. Thousands. Each one glowing faintly, suspended in the dark by invisible chains. Some burned pale. Some gold. Some pulsed red. All hummed with whispers. You understood. The forest was not many masks. It was one hunger, fractured into countless shapes, each lantern a mouth, each mouth a trap. Your flame was different. It burned steady, unclaimed. The lanterns nearest you hissed, their glow bending away as if ashamed. Whispers rose louder, desperate, pleading. Give. Join. Rest. Take. But your flame did not bend. At the center of the void hung the largest lantern of all. Its frame was rusted black iron, its glass cracked, its glow shifting between every color, pale, gold, red, never settling. It pulsed like a beating heart. And inside it, pressed against the glass, was a face. Yours. Not blurred. Not distorted. Whole. Terrified. Screaming. The sight should have broken you. But you felt no fear. Only clarity. The forest had never wanted your body. It had wanted your name. Your fear. Your reflection. It had them all now, except the flame. The giant lantern pulsed harder, the scream of your mirrored face rattling the void. And the countless smaller lanterns bent closer, eager to see if you would surrender the last thing left. The vast lantern loomed over you, its cracked glass rattling with every pulse. Your face pressed against it from the inside, contorted in terror, eyes wide, mouth stretched in a soundless scream. You stared up at it calmly. The sight was meant to terrify, to shatter you. But fear was gone, stripped away. All that remained was clarity, cold, steady clarity. The smaller lanterns whispered frantically, a chorus that shook the void. Join! Give! Rest! Take! Their chains rattled as they swung closer, encircling you, their glow pulsing like predators circling prey. Your lantern's flame burned brighter, defiant. The whispers recoiled, faltering, but did not stop. The great lantern pulsed violently, your reflection's mouth opening wider, wider, until its scream shook the void itself. The sound tore through you, not fear, but memory. Images rose in your mind, sharp and sudden, faces you had loved, places you had stood, words once tied to your name. The hunger wanted them back. James's broken voice slipped through the chaos, faint as a ghost. That's how it takes you, piece by piece. You raised your lantern higher. The flame shot tall, clean and sharp, a blade of light cutting the dark. The smaller lanterns shrieked, their glass cracking, whispers dissolving into silence as they shattered one by one, raining shards into the void. The great lantern trembled. Your reflection inside clawed at the glass, desperate, pleading. Its voice thundered, layered with every stolen word. You are me. I am you. Without me, you are nothing. The glass split further, fractures webbing across its surface. Light, pale, gold, red bled out in streams, colliding in the air around you. The void shook, collapsing. The forest itself screamed. And you stood before your reflection, lantern raised, knowing the choice was simple but final. Break the glass, and sever yourself from what the woods had taken. Or let it claim you fully, face, flame, everything. The void leaned closer, every whisper a single word now, desperate and furious. Choose. The void convulsed around you, lanterns swinging wildly on invisible chains. Their whispers rose into a storm, crashing over each other until the word choose thundered through every crack in the darkness. The great lantern loomed above, your reflection pressed to its fractured glass. It screamed silently, hands slapping against the inside, mouth stretched until the skin tore. It wasn't blurred, wasn't distorted. This was you, whole, bound, and afraid. You lifted your lantern high. Its flame rose tall, no longer fragile, no longer threatened. It was the one thing the woods had failed to take. The whispers hissed, recoiling. Chains rattled as smaller lanterns snapped back, their light flickering. The reflection inside the great lantern slammed its fists against the glass, voice finally bursting into sound that shook the void. Don't kill me! I am you! But you felt no fear. Only certainty. With both hands, you hurled your lantern's flame forward. The fire struck the cracked glass, searing through it with a shriek that rattled the chains of every lantern in the void. The great lantern shattered, shards exploding outward in a rain of black iron and fractured light. Your reflection burst into smoke, dissolving with a scream that was equal parts fury and relief. The void collapsed. Lanterns shattered one by one, their whispers dying into silence. Chains fell like broken bones, vanishing into the black. The endless hum of hunger quieted, leaving only the echo of your flame. Then the ground surged upward, the darkness tearing away, and you were flung back, through trees, through roots, through soil, until you hit the forest floor. You lay gasping, your lantern clutched against your chest. Its flame burned steady, clean. Around you, the woods were silent. Not watchful. Not hungry. Just still. The branches no longer bent. The moss no longer writhed. The forest simply stood. You pushed yourself upright, breast steady, body whole. The pale lantern was gone. The golden one too. Even the red pulse of the hollow was silent. Your flame was the only light left. And for the first time, the woods didn't tell you where to go. The woods stood quiet around you, a silence so deep it felt unnatural. Yet this time, there was no hum beneath it, no whispers woven into the trees. Just quiet. You lifted your lantern. Its flame glowed steady, lighting the moss and bark in clean outlines. No shadows twitched at the edge of its glow. No faces pressed through the glass. For the first time since stepping onto the old path, you felt truly alone. You walked forward. The earth no longer shifted under your boots. The branches did not bend, the roots did not clutch. The forest parted simply because it was forest, no longer hungry, no longer alive in the way you had known. The air was cold, damp, but it was only air. No voices stirred inside it. And yet, something unsettled you. Not fear. That was gone. But clarity. A sharpness inside you that noticed every absence. The woods had gone quiet too quickly. Too completely. The path ahead bent, narrowing into a tunnel of trees. At its end, you glimpsed something impossible. Daylight. Pale, gray morning light spilling across the earth. A horizon beyond the tree line. A way out. You froze. The lantern in your hand burned steady, but its flame leaned slightly forward, toward the light beyond the trees, as though ready to guide you into it. Your chest tightened. You had no name to anchor you, no reflection, no fear. The forest hadn't taken everything, but it had taken enough. So what would the world beyond the trees see when you stepped back into it? A survivor? Or something the woods had remade in its own image? The lantern in your hand hissed faintly, its flame steady but restless, waiting. Behind you, the forest groaned, just once, long and low. Not a whisper. Not a hunger. Just a sound. As though it had finally exhaled. The path ahead remained open, daylight spilling brighter, promising freedom. All that remained was to step forward. You walked. Each step carried you closer to the gray light ahead, your lantern's flame swaying steady at your side. The moss gave way to packed soil, then to scattered stones. The air grew thinner, fresher, touched with scents the woods had swallowed long ago: dew, grass, the faint tang of smoke from some distant chimney. Your chest rose and fell evenly, but your thoughts churned. Without a name, what tether held you to what waited beyond the trees? Would they see you as you were, or as the woods had left you? The last line of trees loomed tall, their branches arched like a gate. You stepped beneath them. For the first time, no groan followed, no bending, no protest. And then you were out. The horizon stretched before you, rolling fields pale with dawn, mist curling low across the earth. In the distance, the faint outline of rooftops clustered together, smoke rising from chimneys. A village. You froze, breath catching. Not because of what you saw, but because of what you didn't. Your shadow. The rising light painted long silhouettes of every tree, every stone. But when you looked down, the lantern cast no shadow of you. Only the flame had weight in the morning sun. The world beyond the woods had accepted your flame, but not you. Your boots carried you forward anyway, across grass damp with dew. The village loomed closer, real, tangible. Dogs barked faintly. A rooster crowed. Life. And then you saw them. A man at the well, drawing water. A woman hanging linens on a line. Children chasing each other across the dirt path. They looked up as you approached. Their eyes fixed on you, unblinking. No smiles. No waves. Only silence. The man dropped the rope, water spilling across the ground. The children froze mid-step. The woman's hands trembled, the sheets slipping from her fingers. They all stared. Not at you. At the lantern in your hand. The villagers did not move closer. They did not speak. They only stared at the lantern in your hand, their faces pale in the gray morning light. The woman at the line clutched her chest, whispering words you couldn't hear. The children backed away slowly, their play forgotten. The man at the well stumbled backward, his eyes wide, the rope slipping from his hands. You raised the lantern slightly, its flame steady. You tried to speak, but the words tangled. Without your name, your voice carried no anchor. It fell flat, meaningless. The man's face twisted. He spat into the dirt and made a sign with his hands, something sharp, protective. Don't bring it here. His voice cracked with terror. The woman whispered louder now, clutching a small charm at her neck. The children began to cry. You froze. The villagers weren't looking at you. They weren't seeing you at all. They saw only the flame. The man's voice rose, trembling. We buried that path. We sealed it. And still, you bring it back. He grabbed a stone from the ground and hurled it. It struck the dirt at your feet, skittering off into the grass. Not meant to harm. Meant to ward you away. The woman's voice broke through at last, trembling, desperate. Leave us! Take it back to the woods where it belongs! Your lantern hissed faintly, its flame bending in the morning light. It didn't waver, didn't shrink, but it did not belong here. You felt it in your chest, in the emptiness where your name should have been. The villagers backed farther, forming a ring of silence and fear. No one would touch you. No one would come near. The man at the well spat again, his voice low, final. You don't belong here. You looked at the village, the fields, the rising dawn. All real. All alive. But not for you. Your flame burned steady in the morning air, and the forest waited behind you, quiet now, but patient. The villagers stood frozen, their circle unbroken. Not a weapon raised, not a step forward. Just eyes, wide, pale, horrified, locked on your lantern. The children clung to their mother's skirts, sobbing softly. The man at the well gripped the rope again but did not draw the bucket. His hands shook too much. You raised your free hand, palm open. You tried to shape words, to explain, to promise you meant no harm. But without a name, the words were hollow. The sound left your throat but carried no weight. They did not hear you. Or perhaps they refused to. Your lantern hissed once, its flame bending. The villagers gasped, stumbling back, as though it had leapt at them. A woman dropped to her knees, whispering frantic prayers. The man's voice cut through, sharp with terror. It's not one of us. It's one of them. The words struck the crowd like thunder. Faces turned harder, fear sharpening into something nearer to rage. Not enough to fight, but enough to demand distance. Your chest felt empty, hollow. The fields stretched behind them, the village rising steady and real, but the air between you was an iron gate. No step forward would ever cross it. The flame in your hand flickered steady, as if agreeing. It did not belong here. And the forest, silent behind you, seemed to breathe. Not in threat. Not in hunger. Just in patience. It would take you back. The villagers' whispers grew louder, the word, woods, passed among them like a curse. Some wept. Some clutched charms. None came closer. The man at the well raised his hand and pointed. Not at you, at the trees. His meaning was clear. Go back. Your lantern flared once, bright and sharp. And for the first time, you felt the path behind you calling. Not the villagers. Not the world. The woods. You lowered your hand slowly. The villagers flinched as if the motion itself was a threat. Their fear thickened the air, pressing against you harder than the forest ever had. You turned. The children wailed. The woman clutched them tighter, her prayers breaking into sobs. The man at the well spat once more, but it was weaker now, shaken. None followed. The forest waited. Its trees loomed tall, their shadows stretching like dark arms across the grass. Yet they did not groan, did not shift, did not claw. They simply stood, quiet, patient. You crossed the threshold without hesitation. The villagers' whispers faded behind you, swallowed by the mossy hush. And then you were inside again. The silence here was different now, no whispers, no commands. Just quiet. The trees did not lean. The ground did not shift. Your lantern's glow stretched wider, painting the trunks in clean outlines. For the first time, the woods did not resist you. They yielded. You walked deeper, and the moss seemed to soften under your boots. The branches above swayed not in threat, but in rhythm, creaking like breath. The hollow absence in your chest, the place where your name had been, no longer felt empty. It felt claimed. Not by the villagers. Not by the pale, or the golden, or even the red. By the woods. They had given you back your flame. They had taken your name, And now, in the balance, you belonged here. The path wound forward, deeper into shadow, deeper into silence. Your lantern swayed with your steps, steady, eternal. Somewhere in the distance, faint but real, another light flickered. Not pale, not gold, not red. Another flame. Another wanderer. And for the first time, you understood your place. Not a victim. Not prey. A guide. The forest stretched quiet before you, your lantern painting steady circles of light on moss and bark. In that silence you heard it, a faint hiss. Another flame. It wavered in the distance, bobbing between the trees. Too small to be the forest's hunger. Too sharp to be illusion. A true lantern, trembling in human hands. You froze, your chest hollow but calm. You knew what that light meant. Someone else had stepped onto the path. The villagers had been right. The way had never closed. You moved forward slowly, steady, careful not to let your flame flare too bright. Your lantern's glow stretched just far enough to touch the edges of the other light, mingling faintly with its tremble. A voice came with it, young, uncertain, barely above a whisper. "Hello? Is someone there?" You felt the words cut into you, not with fear, but with memory. That had been you once. Walking the old path. Holding a flame you didn't yet understand. Your hand tightened around your lantern. Its flame hissed softly, steady and sure, as though reminding you what you were now. A guide. But to guide meant choice. You could step forward, reveal yourself, steady the trembling flame with your own. Show them the path, keep them from the hunger. Or you could stay silent. Let the woods whisper. Let them choose wrong. Let the forest take what it demanded. Your nameless chest held no fear, no tether to either choice. Only clarity. The other flame wavered again, the voice breaking with desperation. "Please! I don't want to be alone." The forest rustled faintly, branches creaking. Not in threat. In patience. It was waiting, to see what you would do. You raised your lantern higher. The light stretched forward. And the trembling flame grew still. You stepped forward, your lantern's glow spilling wider, brushing against the edge of the trembling flame. The other light flickered once, then steadied in your presence, as though calmed by recognition. A figure emerged from the shadows. A young woman, pale with fear, clutching a dented iron lantern that sputtered weakly. Her eyes widened as she saw you. "You!" Her voice cracked, relief and dread tangled together. "You're real." Her lantern hissed, the flame inside wavering violently as it bent toward yours. She gripped it tighter, shielding it with her hand. "Please! Don't let it go out. They said if it goes out." She broke off, her voice trembling. You raised your lantern higher. Its flame flared steady, casting a clean circle that swallowed the shadows pressing at her edges. Her flame steadied, its hiss softening, soothed by the presence of yours. The woman's shoulders shook. "Thank God. I thought I was alone." She stepped closer, but stopped short, her gaze fixing on your lantern. Her expression shifted, confusion flickering across her face. "Yours, it's different." She squinted, her lips parting as though she saw something beyond the light. "Something in you." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "What are you?" The forest groaned faintly around you, the sound low, approving. The trees bent slightly inward, not to threaten, but to listen. Your nameless chest stayed calm. No fear. No doubt. Only the clarity of what you were. You lifted your lantern, letting its steady flame illuminate her face. She flinched, shielding her eyes, not from pain, but from recognition. She whispered again, trembling now. "You've walked deeper than me." Her flame sputtered, bending harder toward yours, almost leaping for it. She staggered back, clutching it tight against her chest. "Don't take mine," she begged. "Please! It's all I have." The wood stirred, branches creaking. It was watching, waiting, patient as ever. Your lantern hissed softly, steady, offering clarity. You could steady her flame, guide her deeper, show her what you had seen, or you could let her wander. Let the woods decide her fate, as it had once decided yours. The woman clutched her lantern like a lifeline, its weak flame sputtering, stretching desperately toward yours. Her eyes darted between your steady glow, and the forest pressing close around her, her breath sharp and uneven. "You know the way," she whispered, half plea, half accusation. "I can see it in you. You've already been where I haven't. Please, don't leave me." Her words pulled at something deep inside. The memory of your own first steps, the fear that had once ruled you before the hollow stripped it away. You remembered clutching your own lantern with trembling hands, whispering into silence, hoping someone, anyone, might answer. Your flame hissed softly, steady, reminding you of what you had become. Not prey. Not victim. A guide. But guides were not saviors. The forest creaked, branches bending as though to listen closer. Moss quivered at your boots. The air was heavy with expectation. The woman stepped nearer, her weak flame shaking violently, threatening to gut her out. Tears streaked her face, her voice breaking. "If it goes dark, it'll take me. You know it will." Her lantern leaned harder toward yours, so much that it nearly bent from her grasp. She fought it, clutching it close, shaking her head. "But if you touch mine, if you take it, what will I have left?" Your chest hollowed, not with fear, but with the clarity of decision. You could lift your flame higher, let it steady hers, share your light until her trembling ceased. She would follow you then, willingly or not, into the depths the forest demanded. Or you could turn away. Let her stumble alone, let the woods decide whether she lived, whether her lantern survived, whether she joined the prison of faces. The forest shifted, patient, hungry, approving of either path. The woman's eyes locked on yours, wide, wet, desperate. "Please," she whispered, "don't let me vanish." Your lantern burned steady, its hiss low and constant. And for the first time you understood, the forest hadn't freed you from fears so you could escape. It had freed you so you could choose. The woman's lantern sputtered again, its glow collapsing inward until only a faint ember clung to the wick. She gasped, clutching it tighter, as though her grip alone might keep it alive. "Please," she begged, voice cracking. "Don't let it go out." The forest bent closer, branches groaning, roots shifting in the moss. The air thickened with anticipation. It would let her fall. It wanted her to. But it also watched you, patient, waiting to see what you would make of her. You raised your lantern. Its flame rose, tall and sharp, burning steady in the hush. The hiss deepened, a sound not of weakness but of strength. The woman staggered back at first, shielding her face from the light. Her own flame quivered wildly, bending toward yours, begging to merge. You stepped closer. Slowly. Deliberately. Her eyes widened. "What are you doing?" Your lantern's glow stretched to her trembling flame. For an instant, the two hissed violently, their light colliding like flint against steel. She cried out, thinking you meant to steal it. But then her ember caught. It flared, small but strong, steadying in the circle of your glow. Her lantern hummed, its hiss softening, no longer desperate. Her mouth fell open. She stared at the flame as if it were a miracle, tears streaking her cheeks. "You!" She swallowed hard. "You saved it." You said nothing. Your hollow chest had no name to give, no words to comfort. Only clarity. The forest groaned, long and low. Not in anger. In acknowledgement. The branches above eased, the ground stilled. It had expected you to take. Instead you gave. The woman clutched her lantern close, her eyes still wide, but steadier now. She looked at you with something new, fear, yes, but laced with reverence. "What are you?" she whispered. Your lantern hissed softly, its steady glow the only answer. And in that silence you knew, you had not defied the woods. You had acted in its design. The forest didn't care if you guided or consumed. Only that you chose. Another flame survived because of you. And now, it would follow. The woman's lantern burned steadier now, its flame small but alive, echoing faintly with the hiss of your own. She held it tightly, still trembling, but no longer on the edge of collapse. Her eyes darted between your flame and the trees bending around you both. The fear in her face hadn't vanished, but it had changed. It wasn't the wild terror of prey. It was something quieter, fear of you. You turned, stepping deeper into the forest. Your flame stretched ahead, lighting a clear path between the roots and moss. The woman hesitated, then hurried after you, clutching her lantern like a child clutching a doll. The woods welcomed it. Branches arched above, closing out the dawn. The silence thickened, no longer empty but listening. The ground softened under your boots, humming faintly in time with your flame. The woman whispered behind you, her voice small. "Why are you helping me?" You did not answer. Not because you couldn't, but because the question itself didn't matter. The woods hadn't asked for reasons. It had asked for choices. And you had chosen. She quickened her pace, almost tripping over roots as she tried to keep close. Her flame bent toward yours with every step, like iron drawn to a magnet. "You're not like the others," she murmured. "I've heard the stories. Pale lights, golden ones, voices that lie, but you..." She broke off, shaking her head. "You're real." Your lantern hissed in reply, steady and sharp. The path wound deeper. The silence thickened until it felt alive. At last, she spoke again, her voice trembling. "Will you lead me out?" The woods stirred. The branches groaned softly, a sound almost like laughter. You stopped. Slowly, you turned your lantern back toward her. Its flame flared tall, hissing loudly, illuminating her face fully for the first time. Her eyes widened. Her mouth opened slightly. She saw it then, not salvation, not safety. The hollowness in your chest. The namelessness. The clarity stripped of fear. Her hands trembled. Her flame sputtered violently, bending harder toward yours, desperate, hungry. She staggered back. "You're not leaving the woods, are you?" Your lantern hissed. And the forest held its breath. The woman's lantern sputtered wildly as she stared into your glow, her hands trembling so hard the iron handle clinked against its frame. Her eyes darted from your steady flame to the hollow calm on your face, searching for something human to anchor to. "You're not going back," she whispered, the words trembling as though she could barely force them out. "Are you?" Her voice cracked on the last syllable, breaking under the weight of truth. The flame in her lantern bent toward yours again, straining as though it longed to leap free. She clutched it tighter, pressing the hot frame against her chest even as it burned her skin. The woods creaked softly overhead, the groan of branches almost like a sigh. The forest was listening, patient, as it always was. You stepped closer. Your flame flared, steady and unyielding, casting shadows across her pale face. Her eyes widened, reflecting your glow. She shook her head, voice rising in panic. "No, no, I don't want this. I just want out. Please, show me the way back." The moss beneath your boots stirred faintly, alive with the hum of the woods. You felt it in your hollow chest. The forest did not care whether she begged for escape or for guidance. It cared only for choice. Her flame wavered again, almost snuffing itself out. She sobbed, holding it desperately, her tears catching the light. "If you leave me here, it'll take me. You know it will." You raised your lantern higher, the flame burning so bright it lit the trunks far into the dark. A clear path stretched before you, deeper into the woods. The woman's breath caught, her body swaying toward it against her will. She staggered back, clutching her weak lantern tighter. "No. I don't want to follow." The forest groaned again, louder this time, the branches above bending low as if to press her decision. She looked at you once more, tears streaming down her face, her voice breaking into a scream. "What are you?" Your lantern hissed, sharp and steady. The woods waited. The woman's scream echoed through the forest, bouncing between the trunks like a wounded animal's cry. Her voice cracked raw, filled with terror, but beneath it you could hear something else, resistance. She clutched her lantern to her chest, its weak flame trembling violently, drawn toward yours as though it would leap free at any moment. Her knuckles whitened on the handle, skin blistering against the hot frame. She hissed in pain but did not let go. "I won't follow you," she gasped, tears streaking her cheeks. You can't make me! Your flame hissed, burning taller, lighting the path deeper into the woods. Shadows curled back from its glow, retreating as though in submission. The path was clear, clearer than it had ever been when you first walked it. The forest bent for you now. The woman staggered, her knees shaking. Her lantern bent harder, its flames stretching toward yours like a starving creature toward food. She screamed again, pulling it close, fighting the magnetic pull. Stop it! Stop pulling me! But it wasn't you pulling. It was the woods. You stood calm, nameless, hollow, your flame steady in your hand. Fearless. The choice was not yours to make, it was hers. The trees groaned above, bending low enough to scrape their branches across the moss. Roots stirred beneath, coiling around her ankles, not to seize but to hold her steady. They would not let her flee without choosing. She sobbed, her body racked with tremors, her voice breaking. I just wanted to go home. The forest hushed, listening. The moss stilled, the branches froze. Even the hiss of her lantern quieted. You raised your flame higher. Its light bathed her fully, revealing the truth in her eyes. She had no strength left to resist. Her flame bent forward once more, and this time she did not fight it. It leapt, merging into your glow with a sharp hiss. Her lantern went dark in her hands. She collapsed to her knees, her body racked with sobs. Her voice was small, hollow now. It took it from me. Your flame burned taller, stronger, steady as ever. The woods creaked softly, a sound like approval. Another had joined. The woman's hands trembled as she lifted her darkened lantern. Its glass reflected your steady flame, but inside it was empty, cold, lifeless. She shook it violently, as though rattling the frame could summon back what had leapt away. No! Her voice cracked. No, give it back! It was mine! Your flame hissed tall, steady, stronger than before. The woods leaned closer, their shadows bending toward you with reverence. Your lantern had swallowed hers whole. She stared at you, wide-eyed, her breath ragged. You took it! I can feel it, it's in you now. You stood calm, hollow, nameless. The truth was simple, she was right. Her flame had merged with yours, another thread woven into its steady glow. And you felt it, her fear, her desperation, her need, folded into your clarity. The woman's sobs broke into laughter, brittle and hysterical. I fought so hard to keep it, and now I've got nothing. Nothing! She hurled the empty lantern into the moss, where it landed with a dull thud. The woods groaned softly, branches swaying above. Approval. She crawled closer on her hands and knees, her voice hoarse, pleading. Please! Let me walk with you. If I stay alone, it'll take me in the dark. I know it will. You lowered your lantern slightly. Its glow reached her, steadying her trembling limbs. She froze, staring at the circle of safety it cast. Then she wept, curling into herself, whispering, I don't care if I follow. Just don't leave me behind. The forest hushed again, waiting. You turned, stepping deeper into the path. The light stretched, and she stumbled after you, empty-handed but tethered to your glow. Her voice followed, weak but certain now. I don't have a flame anymore. I only have you. Your lantern hissed, tall and sharp. The woods bent with your stride. And for the first time, you understood the weight of being followed. Not savior. Not prey. Bearer of many flames. The woman stumbled close behind you, her breaths ragged in the silence. She had no lantern now, no flame of her own to steady her steps. She clung to the edge of your glow, her shadow trembling against the moss, always threatening to slip outside the circle. Slower, she whispered, her voice weak, raw from crying. Please, I can't keep up. You did not slow. The woods no longer bent for her, only for you. Branches shifted aside as you walked, roots still beneath your feet. But when she tripped, the forest seemed eager to snare her, a stray branch clutching at her hair, a root snagging her boot. Each time she cried out, you lifted your flame slightly, and the woods recoiled, releasing her. She began to understand. By the third stumble, she no longer fought the roots. She turned her eyes to you instead, whispering, "Don't leave me." Her voice was hollow now, stripped of its earlier defiance. She walked like one tethered not by will, but by dependence. Her gaze never left your flame. The woods groaned overhead, their branches swaying like approving judges. She clutched her empty hands together, as though still holding a lantern. Her lips moved silently, muttering words you couldn't hear. Then she laughed suddenly, high and brittle. "I can almost feel it still. Like it's in me, but no. It's in you, isn't it?" Your lantern hissed softly, tall and steady. She stopped walking then, staring at the flame with wide eyes. "How many do you have?" Her voice cracked, sharp with awe. "Is mine the first? Or just another?" The silence stretched, thick and heavy. Her breathing quickened. "You won't tell me, will you?" She stepped closer, almost brushing your arm. Her eyes glistened with something sharp now, not fear, need. "Then don't. Just keep it. Just keep me burning in you." The forest bent low, branches arching in approval. And you walked on, your flame brighter, her hollow steps echoing close behind. Not a companion, not a partner, a shadow bound to your glow. The woman followed close, always within the edge of your glow, always staring at your lantern. Her face was pale, her lips cracked from whispered prayers and muttered fragments of thought that barely held shape. At first, her words were pleas. "Don't let it take me. Keep me near. Don't walk too fast." But slowly, they shifted. "Your flame's brighter than before. It wasn't like that when I first saw you. Did mine make it stronger? Did I make you stronger?" Her voice trembled not with fear now, but with something sharper, envy, awe, hunger. She touched her empty hands together again and again, as though she still held her lantern, as though she might will it back into existence. The woods creaked, bending low as you passed, their roots twitching beneath the moss. Each time she stumbled near the edge of your light, they reached for her eagerly. And each time you lifted your flame, and they withdrew. She began to notice. "You control it," she whispered, wonder in her voice. "The trees, the roots, the dark, they obey you." Your flame hissed steady, tall. She laughed suddenly, the sound brittle, broken. "No wonder it took mine. Why would I ever carry it when you can? Safer with you. Stronger with you." Her laughter died quickly. Her eyes stayed fixed on your lantern. By the time the path wound deeper, she no longer looked at the forest at all. She saw only the glow swaying with your stride. Her steps faltered once more, and she dropped to her knees, pressing her forehead into the moss. "I'll follow. Wherever you go. Just keep me inside it." The woods groaned softly, a sound like approval. You paused, your lantern's glow washing over her bowed form. Her hands clenched the dirt, her shoulders shaking. For a moment, the silence was complete. Then she whispered, so faint you almost missed it, "I want more of it. Please, let me burn brighter inside you." Your flame hissed, steady, unyielding. The forest held its breath. The woman trailed closer than ever now, so near that her ragged breaths brushed your shoulder, so near her empty hands nearly grazed your arm. Her eyes never blinked, never strayed from your lantern. At first, her whispers were pleading. "Let me near. Let me burn brighter in you." But as the forest pressed closer, as roots curled from the moss and branches bent low, her tone shifted. "You don't understand what it feels like," she murmured. "To hold nothing. To walk empty while yours burns so tall." Her lips curled faintly, half a smile, half a grimace. "It's not fair." The woods groaned above, branches scraping each other, releasing a shower of bark dust that drifted between you. The sound was not threat, it was attention. The forest was listening. She touched your sleeve. Just a brush of her fingertips, trembling, but deliberate. "If I gave you mine, doesn't that make it ours?" Your lantern hissed louder, the flame burning taller. Her hand recoiled as though scalded, and she laughed again, high and brittle. "No. Not ours. Never ours. Only yours." Her laughter faded into silence. Then, more quietly, "But I want it back. The woods stirred at her words, their groans deepening. Roots pushed through the moss near her knees, curling like claws. Her empty lantern lay abandoned somewhere behind, forgotten, useless. She inched closer, her body swaying with exhaustion and need. "Just a piece," she whispered. "You don't have to give it all. Just let me feel it again. Please." Your flame burned steady, unyielding. Her eyes glistened with tears, but her mouth twisted into something desperate, almost feral. "If you won't share it," her voice dropped, a hoarse rasp, "then I'll take it." The woods creaked sharply, a sound like laughter, and her hands lunged toward your lantern. Her hands shot forward, clawing at the air, fingers curled like hooks. They closed around the iron frame of your lantern, trembling, desperate. The hiss of your flame rose sharply, like steam bursting from a kettle. She gasped at the heat but didn't let go. "Give it! Just give it back!" Her voice cracked into a sob, half demand, half plea. The woods groaned overhead, branches creaking like laughter, the ground pulsing faintly beneath your feet. The forest was not angered. It was entertained. Watching. Your flame burned taller, pressing against her grasp. The light poured over her face, washing away the remnants of human softness. Her eyes gleamed wild in the glow, her skin shining with sweat. She clung tighter, even as blisters bubbled on her palms. "I don't care if it burns me!" she screamed. "It was mine!" Her weak, empty chest heaved as if she could breathe the light in, drink it like water. But the flame did not bend toward her. It hissed sharp, unyielding, searing her skin until smoke curled from her fingers. Still she held on, teeth bared, eyes wild. "Please," she sobbed. "Just a little. Just enough to feel alive again." Your hollow calm did not waver. You had no fear, no pity. Only clarity. The flame was never hers. It was never anyone's. The forest gave, the forest took. And now you carried it. Her scream broke through the silence, raw and ragged. With one final lunge, she tried to rip the lantern from your hands. The woods roared. Roots erupted from the moss, snapping around her arms, her legs, her waist. They yanked her backward, tearing her from the glow. She shrieked, thrashing wildly, her blistered hands clawing at the air. "Don't let it take me!" she screamed, her voice breaking into sobs. "Please, I gave you mine! Don't let it take me!" The roots dragged her into shadow, her body vanishing between the trees. Her screams echoed, then muffled, then silenced. Only the hiss of your flame remained. The forest stilled, branches swaying gently, satisfied. Another flame had burned through you, and the path stretched on. Silence returned as the roots withdrew, sinking back into the moss as though they had never moved at all. The forest exhaled, a long, low groan that trembled through the trunks, either menace nor comfort, just acknowledgement. You stood alone once more, your lantern steady in your grip. Its flame hissed louder now, brighter than it had been before she tried to take it. Her voice was gone, but her fire still lived within you, folded into the glow you carried. The weight of it pressed against your hollow chest. Not heavy, not painful, but undeniable. Each flame taken in became a thread in your clarity, another choice absorbed, another story carried. You stepped forward. The moss shifted under your boots, soft and yielding. Branches above arched in welcome. The woods bent for you still, clearing your path. Yet there was no triumph in your stride. Only the steady rhythm of inevitability. The air stirred faintly. A whisper slid through the trees, not the hungry pull of the pail, nor the false warmth of gold, nor the thrum of red. This was softer, older. The woods themselves speaking. "Bearer." The word echoed through you, vibrating in your chest where your name used to be. Your flame hissed in reply, tall and certain. The forest groaned again, branches bending low as though in reverence. You felt it then, recognition. You were no longer wanderer, no longer prey. You were its vessel, its lantern carrier, the one who gathered what others lost. And yet, deep in the silence, a question coiled like smoke. How many flames would the forest demand of you? You walked deeper, your light stretching farther, your shadow long and sharp across the moss. For a moment, you thought you glimpsed another glow in the distance, faint, trembling, weak. Another wanderer. The woods stirred with anticipation, branches creaking, and your lantern burned brighter, eager. The glow appeared first as a faint shimmer between the trunks, distant, trembling. Small, weak, like a candle fighting the pull of the dark. You slowed, your lantern steady in your grip. The hiss of your flame deepened, as though recognizing what approached. The forest stirred with anticipation. Branches bent closer, roots quivered beneath the moss. The woods had grown patient with you, but never still. It hungered for what would follow. The glow wavered nearer, and soon a figure emerged from the shadows. A man this time, older, his beard matted, his eyes sunken. His lantern sputtered with a sickly flame, each flicker threatening extinction. He staggered into your light, nearly collapsing. His lantern rattled in his shaking hand, the glass cracked, the frame bent. When his eyes found you, he gasped, dropping to his knees. "Please," he rasped. "Please help me. It's dying. I can't." His words broke off into a cough, his entire body trembling. Your glow stretched toward his, steady, certain. His weak flame bent eagerly toward yours, desperate to merge. The man's eyes widened as he felt the pull. He clutched his lantern tighter, panic flashing across his face. "No, no, it's mine! Don't take it from me!" The forest creaked above, branches shaking, releasing a rain of bark and leaves. The sound rolled like laughter. The man groaned, rocking on his knees, torn between terror and need. "I'll do anything," he begged. Just make it stronger. Don't let it go out." Your hollow chest remained calm. No pity, no cruelty. Only clarity. Your lantern hissed softly, flame rising tall. The choice unfolded before you again. Steady his weak flame and guide him, as you had once done. Or let it leap to yours, consuming it, leaving him hollow in the dark. The woods pressed closer, shadows trembling, eager. The man looked up at you, his face wet with tears. "Don't let me vanish. Please!" Your flame burned steady, patient, waiting. The forest held its breath. The old man knelt at your feet, clutching his broken lantern so tight his fingers bled. His flame sputtered, a dying ember straining toward yours with every flicker. His eyes were wide, wild with fear. "Please," he whispered, his voice cracking. "It's all I have left. If it goes out, there'll be nothing of me." The forest bent lower, branches groaning, shadows pressing near. They circled the man hungrily, waiting for his flame to falter, eager to devour what little light remained. Your lantern hissed, tall and unyielding. Its glow reached his, washing the weak ember in steady warmth. For a moment, his flame steadied, caught between life and death. The man gasped at the sudden strength, clutching his lantern higher. Yes, yes! That's it! Keep it with me! Don't let it go!" But the pull between flames grew stronger. His lantern trembled violently in his hands, rattling against his grip. The ember inside bent farther toward yours, desperate to merge. His face twisted in panic. "No! Not like the others! Don't take it!" He scrambled backward, but the forest closed in, roots curling at his knees, branches bending low. There was no escape. Your hollow chest remained calm, unshaken. The choice lay before you, simple and final. Steady his flame, let him walk beside your glow, or draw it into yours, leaving him empty in the dark. The woods leaned closer, their groans deep, expectant. The man sobbed, bowing low, his forehead pressed into the moss. "Please! I beg you! I'll follow. I'll serve. Just let me keep it." Your flame hissed louder, burning tall. And then, it leapt. His lantern shattered in his hands, glass exploding into shards that vanished before they touched the ground. The ember burst free, streaming into your flame with a sharp hiss. The man screamed, clutching his chest. His body convulsed, hollowed, emptied in an instant. His voice cracked into a wail. "No! Give it back! I need it, I—" But his cry dissolved into silence. His body collapsed, limp, lifeless, swallowed by the roots. The forest groaned in deep satisfaction. Your flame burned brighter than ever, hissing tall, carrying yet another soul within it. You walked on. The forest was silent now. Not the heavy hush of hunger, not the creak of waiting branches, true silence. You stood at its heart, your lantern burning tall, steady, filled with the glow of every flame you had taken. It was no longer a fragile light. It roared like a small sun, its hiss deep, constant, the circle it cast stretching wide enough to keep the woods bowed low in reverence. The flames inside whispered faintly, their voices tangled, pleas, laughter, sobs, all woven together. They were not gone. They lived on within you, bound to the steady glow. The forest groaned, long and low, a sound that shook the ground beneath your boots. The trees bent back, forming a ring around you. The moss pulsed faintly with light, glowing in rhythm with your lantern. And then the voice came. Not pale, not golden, not red. Not the masks. The forest itself. Bearer. The word rattled through the air, through your hollow chest, through the glass of your lantern. You have walked. You have chosen. You carry what is ours. Your flame flared taller, in answer. The voice deepened, vast and endless. Not prey. Not lost. Never gone. The air stilled. The woods leaned closer, pressing around you in absolute silence. You are us now. The flame in your hand hissed louder, steady, unyielding. You lifted it higher, and the forest bent low in recognition, in reverence. You were not wanderer, not victim, not name. You were the lantern bearer, the gatherer of flames, the one who would walk forever, carrying the lights of those who came after, binding them to the woods. The silence broke at last with a faint shimmer in the distance, another glow, trembling, weak, just as yours once had been. The path opened, clear and patient. You stepped forward, your flame tall, the forest bowing before you. And the cycle began again.